Chapter 434. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with inner content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Benefactress? Are you a monk? Princess Xinyang looked at him strangely. Little Jing Kong shook his little head. I used to be, but I've left the mountain now. I'm not a little monk anymore. Princess Xinyang said, Then you can't call me benefactress. The little monk said, Oh. Seeing this familiar expression, Princess Xinyang pondered for a while and looked at the little guy. You're Gu Jiao's younger brother? After investigating her, he naturally knew who her family members were. Yes. My name is Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong nodded. You're the bad brother-in-law's mother, right? I've seen your portrait before. He had asked Jiao Jiao who the fairy in the portrait was. Jiao Jiao said that she was the little brother's mother in the portrait. The little brother looked so much like the bad brother-in-law, they were obviously biological brothers. Since she was the little brother's mother, she was naturally the bad brother-in-law's mother. He was that smart. Princess Xinyang's attention was attracted by the words, bad brother-in-law, so she neglected to ask him where he saw the portrait. Bad brother-in-law? She asked. Yes. Little Jing Kong put away the marbles and sat on the small stool in front of the bed. He then said earnestly, It's really hard on you. Raising such a troublesome son must be very tiring, right? Worrisome? Princess Xinyang was confused. After a while, she realized that the bad brother-in-law he was talking about was probably Xiao Hang. Xiao Hang was naughty when he was a child, but he was very worrisome when he grew up. There was no child more obedient than him in the world. Little Jing Kong nodded. Yes, the bad brother-in-law is too worrisome. I have to worry about his health and his grades. Children's logic had its limitations. Some phenomena that seemed inconceivable to adults were often ignored or accepted by children. For example, since Xiao Lulang had a seemingly rich mother, why did he live such a hard life in the countryside for so long? Little Jing Kong saw that Princess Xinyang was silent and thought that she didn't understand. He explained to her, Look, my bad brother-in-law's leg is injured. He got it when he was saving brother Feng Lin in the fire. Sigh, it can't be healed. He's a little cripple now. He goes to school with a limp. Many people look down on him. He is always bullied. Fortunately, he has a Jiao Jiao. Princess Xinyang became even more silent. Little Jing Kong said that he disliked his bad brother-in-law, but when he really talked about his bad brother-in-law, it was as if he was a loudspeaker. He couldn't stop talking. When we were in the countryside, we had to go to school in town. There were no carriages, only ox carts in the village. The roads were slippery in winter, so the ox carts couldn't move. Bad brother-in-law could only limp to school in town. Can't we take a carriage? Princess Xinyang asked. Little Jing Kong sighed like a little adult. Sigh, at that time, our family was poor. Being poor wasn't terrible. Do you know what was the most terrible thing? It was that my bad brother-in-law's grades were too bad. He was always the last. He almost didn't pass the exam. Princess Xinyang's mood was originally very complicated, but the last sentence caused her emotions to become incoherent. Being the last could pass the exam? Were all the students in the class great scholars like Zhuang Xianji? Little Jing Kong talked a lot about his life in the countryside, mainly about his bad brother-in-law. For the first time, Princess Xinyang learned about Xiao Liulong's life in the past few years from other people's mouths. She couldn't imagine that a dignified and proud son of God would fall to the point where he had to sit in an ox cart. He was exposed to the sun and rain, cold and hot. He seemed to have suddenly fallen from the clouds into a swamp. Jing Kong, come here. Little Jing Kong was called away by little Zhongli. There was no one else in the room. Yujin was also not there. Long Yi might be in the dark. He didn't show up often. Otherwise, even when Lin Lang wouldn't have been unaware of his existence. Long Yi would appear more often in fixed places, but in the outside world, he would not be discovered by others. Princess Xinyang lifted the quilt, put on her embroidered shoes, and got out of bed. The evening wind blew gently, bringing with it a hint of the coolness of late autumn. The wind chimes under the window frame jingled. The world was noisy, but this small courtyard of the medical center had a special kind of secluded tranquility. She tightened her clothes around her chest, opened the half-closed door, and slowly walked out. Gu Zhao's courtyard was not big. It was a small courtyard. The second master had specially built it for her convenience. Even the second master himself didn't have such treatment. He only had a small room upstairs. Princess Xinyang came to the corridor and unexpectedly smelled the fragrance of sweet potatoes and corn. Only then did she realize that she hadn't eaten all day. Her stomach was rumbling with hunger. She subconsciously walked towards the small kitchen that was emitting the fragrance. She didn't need to go there herself, but for some reason, it seemed that something was attracting her. She came to the door, but before she could see the person, she heard a crisp sound of breaking branches. She was a princess of the imperial family. She had never touched the kitchen before. Naturally, she didn't know what this sound was. When she got closer, she could see the person's movements clearly. It was a youth wearing plain white clothes. He sat on a small bench behind the stove with his back to the door. His right leg was stretched out on the ground, and his left leg was bent. There was a large piece of linen cloth covering his head. Behind him was a tall pile of messy, mottled branches. He used his left hand to grab two of the branches and forcefully swung it down on his left leg, snapping the branches. He put the folded branches on his left hand. Judging from the height of the pile on the left, he had broken a lot. The stove in front of him was burning brightly with firewood. As he broke the branches, he didn't forget to throw two in from time to time. Because his right wrist was injured, when he broke the branches, he used his left hand to hold them, but used his right forearm to press on the right. This movement was very strenuous, and it was easy to break. If it broke, he would press on it again. He repeated this process. His clothes were thin, but the back of his neck was soaked with sweat. One of the branches was too difficult to break. He tried several times but couldn't break it. He even accidentally touched the wound on his wrist. He sucked in a breath of cold air. Princess Xinyang unconsciously took a step forward. But then she stopped. Xiao Lulang finally broke the branch. He didn't bother to wipe the sweat off his forehead. He bent down and used his left hand to pick up the tongs on the ground. He flipped the sweet potatoes on the stove. After doing this, the corn and steamed vegetables in the pot should be ready. He stood up, limped around the stove, and skillfully opened the lid of the pot. A vast expanse of white steam rushed over. He found a rag and took out the steamer basket. Then, he washed his hands with water, turned around, opened the cupboard, and took out two sets of bowls and chopsticks. One was little Jing Kong's exclusive bowl and chopsticks, and the other. When he was halfway through, he suddenly realized something and his eyes flickered. His eyelashes trembled. He wanted to turn around, but didn't dare. With a clang, the bowl and chopsticks in his hand fell to the ground. It rolled a little far, and his legs were inconvenient. He dragged his weak right leg forward 2 steps. Just as he bent down to pick it up, a fair and slender hand reached over and picked up the bowl and chopsticks on the ground before he could. Digression, don't keep it, all updated. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428266/11008357. HTML Genius remembers this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 435. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, Please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Princess Xinyang didn't give him the bowl and chopsticks. Instead, she turned around and placed them on the stove. Xiao Lulang didn't think that she would suddenly wake up and lower herself to the small kitchen. Princess Xinyang also didn't think that she would come in by herself. The two of them met without any warning. It wasn't the back of her head, nor her back, nor was it the blurry sleeping face swallowed by darkness in the middle of the night. It was a clear front face in broad daylight. The immaturity of a 14-year-old had faded, replaced by the restraint of time. In fact, he was only 18 years old. There were still 3 more months before he turned 19. He should have been a young and inexperienced youth, but he was a step ahead of her. He was taller, but his cheeks seemed to have become thinner. The 14-year-old Xiao Hang was a pampered young noble, the bright moon in the sky. Now, he had fallen into the dust. A beautiful jade covered in dust, turning into a lonely little stone that seemed to have been abandoned by someone on the side of the road. For a moment, Princess Xinyang didn't know where to look. Was it his face without the mole, or his powerless feet? It was like he had been cut by a knife, and a layer of skin and flesh had been peeled off. He was bloody and exposed to the eyes of those who knew or didn't know. Every step he took left a bloody footprint. Xiao Liulong's eyes were blood red. Was this punishment enough? Was this pain satisfied? Have I redeemed myself for all my filthy sins? Princess Xinyang stared at him. Suddenly, her body staggered, and she supported herself with one hand on the scalding stove. Xiao Liulong's eyes moved. His hand subconsciously reached out, but it froze in midair under her resistant gaze. Princess Xinyang's body trembled slightly. She looked at him one last time, clutched her chest, and ran out without looking back. After Gu Jiao finished seeing the patients in the clinic, she came to the small courtyard to see how Princess Xinyang was doing. However, she was told that Princess Xinyang had already left. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows weirdly. I was planning to let her stay for a few more days. This pair of mother and son really behaved in the same way. She wanted to meet him, but she couldn't. Xiao Lulang didn't need to come over, but when he heard that Princess Xinyang had fainted, he followed along. After Gu Jiao put Princess Xinyang on an 4 drip, she went to see the doctor. During this time, Xiao Lulang was the only one keeping watch. Little Jing Kong was playing in the yard. It was Xiao Lulang who asked Gu Jiao to remove the needles. After that, Xiao Lulang went to cook and called little Jing Kong to stay in the house. But she hadn't eaten a single bite of the food he had made. Gu Jiao was almost done. She packed up her things and took little Jing Kong to wash his hands. Then, she went back to Clearwater Alley with Xiao Lulang. She had thought about it. The safest place was beside Princess Xinyang, followed by Clearwater Alley. Wasn't there a saying that the most dangerous place was the safest place? Who would have thought that Xiao Lulang would stay in her house? The family of 3 had just left the back door of the clinic when Eugene returned anxiously. Princess Xinyang fainted again. Gu Jiao had just given her an 4 drip. She shouldn't be exhausted so quickly. Gu Jiao looked at little Jing Kong and then looked at Xiao Lulang. She could choose to take Eugene's carriage and let Xiao Lulang and little Jing Kong take Xiao Sanzi's carriage home. However, she hesitated and got into Xiao Sanzi's carriage. Eugene's carriage led the way. They went to Vermilion Bird Avenue. See, Princess Xinyang really moved to the Princess Mansion to hide from Xiao Lulang. As soon as Xiao Lulang left, she moved back. What did this mean? It meant that seeing Xiao Lulang made Princess Xinyang sadder than going to the Princess Mansion. Princess Xinyang really had a heart attack this time. She couldn't catch her breath and fainted. Gu Jiao gave her a tranquilizer. Her pulse stabilized for the time being. However, this situation couldn't happen too often. Otherwise, her life might be in danger. Did something happen to the princess? Her pulse was so messy when we were in the clinic. She packed up the medical supplies and asked Eugene. Eugene was surprised by Gu Jiao's strange medical methods. However, She just thought that she was ignorant and didn't suspect that they weren't from the 6 nations. She answered Gu Jiao's question. The princess felt uncomfortable in her heart. Little Jing Kong went to the courtyard to play. He looked at Xiao Lulang and said, "There are some things that the princess didn't even tell me. But I think the reason why she fainted was because of little Lord Xiao." Endless bitterness welled up in Xiao Liulong's heart, and his chest faintly hurt. He looked at the unconscious Princess Xinyang on the bed. "Do you hate me that much? Okay, I know. I will never appear in front of you again." Xiao Lulang turned around and walked out. The moonlight sprinkled down and fell on his lonely figure as if plated with a layer of frost. Gu Jiao stayed behind to observe the condition of Princess Xinyang. Little Jing Kong was looking at flowers in the courtyard. The flowers here were big and beautiful. He wanted to pick them. However, he couldn't pick the wild flowers outside. He could only look. With his little hands behind his back, he continuously drooled while looking at the flowers. Suddenly, Long Yi walked over. Long Yi didn't care about this little guy at first. In the eyes of Dragon Shadow Guard, children were no different from stone blocks. Who would have thought that at this time, little Jing Kong suddenly rubbed his little hands? He really couldn't hold back anymore. Long Yi caught his little hands that were making trouble. Little Jing Kong blankly raised his head and said with a guilty conscience, "I didn't, it's not me, His eyeballs rolled around, and he looked very much like little Xiao Hang who had done bad things many years ago. His body was full of Xiao Liulong's aura, and even his small appearance was exactly the same. Long Yi looked at little Jing Kong, and again looked at Xiao Lulang in the room, and his brain suddenly crashed. Gu Jiao determined that Princess Xinyang was really fine, and then she got up and left. Eugene wanted to pay the consultation fee, and Gu Jiao didn't refuse. Gu Jiao went out of the house, and little Sanzi's carriage was still there, so she sat in the carriage. She thought that Xiao Lulang had already taken little Jing Kong back, but unexpectedly, both of them were sitting in the carriage at this time. Only, Xiao Lulang was awake, and little Jing Kong was lying in his bosom and sleeping. "He ate something," Xiao Lulang said. "He wanted to wait for you." He seemed to be explaining why he didn't go back. Gu Jiao nodded, but she didn't say anything. Little Jing Kong really wanted to wait for her, but he could have waited in the house. He stayed, half of it was to wait for her, and the other half was to wait for Princess Xinyang to be safe. There was never much fairness in the relationship in this world. Many times, when parents hurt a child, the child would not stop loving his parents, but would only stop loving himself. Gu Jiao sat down next to Xiao Lulang. Little Sanzi waved his whip, and the wheels of the carriage started to turn on the quiet street. Their voices were loud enough to drown out the conversation between the two. "The princess is fine," Gu Jiao said to Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang lowered his eyes, and no one could see the emotions in his eyes. He nodded in a low voice, and raised his hand to pull down the coat that had slipped down, covering little Jing Kong's entire body. Little Jing Kong was sleeping soundly, and no one knew what he was dreaming of, but his saliva was dripping. In fact, the reason why Princess Xinyang fainted today was partly because of little Jing Kong's complaints. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener took it seriously. How could Princess Xinyang know what kind of difficult life Xiao Lulang had been living for the past few years? Gu Jiao pinched Xiao Liulong's face, and when she withdrew her hand, her gaze inadvertently swept across Xiao Liulong's face. Then she looked elsewhere. But she was still paying attention to him. "Do you want to know about my background?" Xiao Lulang suddenly asked. "Yes." Gu Jiao didn't deny it. She didn't know when she started to be curious about him. She wanted to know more about him, whether it was good, bad, proud, or embarrassing. She wanted to know everything about him. But if he didn't say anything, she rarely took the initiative to ask. But if he took the initiative to ask, she naturally wouldn't be polite with him. After all, there wouldn't be another opportunity like this if she missed this village. The atmosphere couldn't be so warm every time. "Even if my background is very dirty, you still want to know?" Xiao Lulang sneered. "You'll regret it. You'll regret marrying me, regret treating me so well, and even regret knowing me." Gu Jiao looked at him in confusion. Xiao Lulang sneered, "I'm not Princess Xinyong's biological son. I've already told you this, but I didn't say who gave birth to me." "Yes," Gu Jiao responded. Xiao Liulong's expression inexplicably relaxed. "Actually, there's nothing that can't be said. My mother was a prisoner of war." "No, she can't be considered a prisoner of war. She's just an accessory of a prisoner of war, a female slave from the Yen Kingdom. Princess Xinyong and that female slave became pregnant in the same month and gave birth in the same month. Princess Xinyong's son was born half a month earlier. The night I was born, the Marquis's estate was attacked by an assassin. Both me and that child were poisoned. There's only one antidote." Hearing this, Gu Jiao seemed to understand a little. She didn't interrupt Xiao Lulang and quietly waited for him to continue. Xiao Lulang smiled faintly, with a bit of helplessness and a bit of mockery. "I'm only the son of a female slave. How could the antidote be given to me?" "In order for me to get the antidote, the female slave stole Princess Xinyong's son and brutally killed him. Afterwards, she hanged herself." When Gu Jiao heard that there was only one antidote, she guessed what would happen next. In her heart, she wasn't too surprised. Or perhaps she was too cold-blooded. Her parents in her previous life were right. She was a monster. Xiao Lulang still had a calm expression, as if he wasn't talking about his own experience, but an unimportant story Princess Xinyong didn't know. She thought that they were taken away by an assassin and that the assassin killed them. "She lost her son and I lost my mother. She said that perhaps we were fated to be mother and son. She decided to raise me as her own son." The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/826/11008392. HTML Genius remembers this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 436. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. When Princess Xinyong decided to raise him, he was still a baby in swaddling clothes. Naturally, he couldn't have heard her say those words herself. It was Princess Xinyong who told him later. "So that's how it is." Gu Jiao said, "Then, does Marquis Xianping know?" Xiao Lulang lowered his eyes. "I know." After he took care of things, Princess Xinyong mistakenly thought that her son and the female slave were killed by assassins. It wasn't until 4 years ago that she found out the truth by chance. It turned out that she had raised the son of her enemy for 14 years. After that, Princess Xinyong collapsed. She had never forgotten that son, and had never treated Xiao Lulang as someone else's substitute. She had truly raised Xiao Lulang as her other son. She had done everything she could to teach him, and had given her all to raise him into the young Marquis of Zhaodu. It was because of this that she couldn't bear the blow of the truth. "The female slave was already dead, so I could only kill your son." This was her inner demon, and also all of her evil. "I was the last one to know," Xiao Lulang said calmly. His face was calm, but who knew if his heart was as calm as this? Gu Jiao paused. "So the fire 4 years ago?" Xiao Lulang nodded. "She wanted to kill me, to take me down with her. Unfortunately, something went wrong, and the person who was burned to death wasn't me. Later, Long Yi came and saved her." He didn't say what went wrong, but Gu Jiao thought that it should have something to do with the real Xiao Lulang. He had once said to her, "If I'm not the person you think I am." She thought he was referring to Xiao Lulang, but it turned out to be Xiao Heng. He suppressed the great pain in his heart and said, "Sometimes I wonder, why wasn't the person who died that year me? Why was I the one who survived? How many lives do I have to carry on my back? A person like me, a filthy person like me." Gu Jiao gently took his hand. "Husband, you're not dirty. Also, it's not your fault." The night was cold as water. The houses on Vermilion Bird Avenue were quiet. Princess Xinyong woke up. Eugene carried a basin of hot water into the room and asked, "How do you feel, Princess?" Princess Xinyong sat at the head of the bed and asked calmly, "Did I faint again?" Eugene said with lingering fear, "That's right. Luckily, I fainted on the bed. Otherwise, it would be bad if I bumped into anything." Once, Princess Xinyong fainted at the lakeside. Coincidentally, Long Yi had gone out to handle some matters, so Eugene wasn't able to hold him back and both of them fell into the lake. Princess Xinyong looked at the needle mark in her elbow and guessed that Gu Jiao had come by. "Did that girl give me something strange again?" Eugene smiled. "It's all thanks to Dr. Gu." Princess Xinyong muttered, "I don't know where she learned her strange skills." Eugene helped Princess Xinyong wash her face, then took the pills Gu Jiao left behind and poured a cup of warm water for her. Dr. Gu said that from today onwards, you have to take one more type of medicine. And Princess Xinyong didn't object. In any case, it wasn't bitter, so she just had to take it. After taking the medicine, Princess Xinyong felt a little hungry. Eugene carried a bowl of millet porridge over and moved a small tea table to the bed. Before Dr. Gu left, she instructed the kitchen to cook millet porridge. She said that when Princess wakes up, you should eat a little. These days, your diet should be lighter. Princess Xinyong scooped a spoonful of millet porridge. "Dr. Gu, did you fall into her trap or fall into her trap?" Eugene smiled and sat down on the bed. Princess Xinyong ate a few mouthfuls of porridge and didn't want to eat anymore. She still didn't have any appetite. Eugene advised, "Eat some more." Princess Xinyong turned her face away. "I don't want to eat anymore." Eugene pushed the bowl in front of her. "Eat 5 more mouthfuls." You. Princess Xinyong had no choice but to endure and eat some more. After eating, she saw that Eugene wasn't leaving. She asked, "What? Is there something else?" Eugene hesitated for a moment, then finally gathered her courage and said, "Princess, do you really hate the young duke that much?" Princess Xinyong's expression dimmed. "Why are you mentioning him?" Eugene said, "Ever since you left the clinic, your mood has been off. Now that he's living such a shameful life, it's worse than death. If Princess really hates him, seeing him in this state should be very gratifying. Princess, in your heart, you also love the young duke, don't you?" "You're talking nonsense again," Princess Xinyong said as she carelessly scooped another spoonful of millet porridge into her mouth. Eugene had served her for many years, so how could she not know her temperament? She still ate when she didn't want to eat. She had hit the nail on the head. Eugene said bitterly, "I'm not talking nonsense. That fire was not set by the princess at all. The princess was soft-hearted at the critical moment. In fact, the princess had never been able to let go of the mother-son relationship with the young marquis. Since that's the case, why don't Princess acknowledge the young duke? What happened that year wasn't his fault. He's just an innocent child. What happened that year wasn't Princess's negligence. Princess, don't torture the young duke anymore, and don't torture yourself anymore." Princess Xinyong's expression was complicated. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but stopped. Then she gently put down the spoon in her hand and said thoughtfully, "Someone else set the fire that year, but I still can't find out who he is." And what?" Eugene looked at Princess Xinyong. Princess Xinyong sighed and said in a low voice, "Forget it, it's nothing." The group returned to Jade Water Alley. Xiao Sanzi drove the carriage back to the clinic. Gu Jiao carried the sleeping little Jing Kong over, not giving Xiao Lulang a chance to refuse. Xiao Lulang looked at his bandaged hand, then at his weak right leg. A trace of disgust flashed through his brows. He was disgusted with himself. Little Jing Kong played until his whole body was covered in mud. Gu Jiao put a cushion on the bed and put him on it. Then she went to the kitchen to get hot water. "I'll do it," Xiao Lulang said. Since the little fellow went down the mountain, Gu Jiao had never done anything to bathe him. If it wasn't Xiao Lulang, then it was Gu Xiaoshun or Gu Yen. "Okay." Gu Jiao used her leg to hook a stool, then put the basin and towel down. Xiao Lulang turned little Jing Kong over and over again. He wiped his body and changed his clothes, but little Jing Kong didn't wake up at all. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and leaned against the wardrobe. She lazily raised her eyebrows. What did he play today? So tired. He went to Princess Xinyong's flower with long E. Xiao Lulang didn't say anything about this. After washing little Jing Kong, Xiao Lulang went to pour water, but Gu Jiao took the basin. This was a trivial matter in life, but it wasn't a trivial matter anymore. He was indifferent at the beginning, but now, he gradually couldn't ignore it. In the past, he didn't care about his life, didn't care about his disability, because he deserved to live in purgatory with his sins. But what was wrong with her? Why did she have to meet such an unbearable person? He once deceived himself, thinking that as long as he worked hard, perhaps they could really live a peaceful life. But when the truth was finally revealed, all his secrets were exposed. It was as if all the window paper was torn apart. He discovered that all his efforts were so weak. He was the son of a lowly female slave. His body flowed with lowly and dirty blood. His birth was a sin, and his survival was also a sin. He stepped on the bones of his own brother. He was not worthy to touch those beautiful things. Marquis Gu was right, he didn't deserve her. This kind of person should stay far away from her. Xiao Lulang sat in the room for a while, but before she returned to the east room to rest, he heard a sound coming from the courtyard. It was so late, and everyone was asleep. Why didn't she go to sleep? What was she doing in the courtyard? Xiao Lulang wanted to go and see, but he also felt that he shouldn't go and see. Since he had decided to let go, then what she did had nothing to do with him. She was still young, and one day she would understand that there were many good men in the world, and he was the one she shouldn't meet the most. He closed his eyes and tried hard to harden his heart, but he couldn't ignore the movement in the courtyard. Fine. Sooner or later, he would have to say goodbye, so choosing a day was better than the present. Wah! Little Jing Kong on the bed mumbled in his sleep and kicked the quilt over. Xiao Lulang walked over, pulled the quilt over him, and tucked him in. After that, he went out of the room and followed the sound to the backyard. The scene in front of him made him stunned. Under the cold moonlight, in the cold courtyard, she bent over and stepped on the stone bench to cut wood. She was taller than 2 years ago, but she was still a woman, so she still looked thin. Probably because she didn't want to wake up her family, her movements seemed very light, but in fact, she used a lot of strength. This was much more strenuous than cutting wood without using her hands. In just a few moments, fine beads of sweat had already seeped out of her forehead. Xiao Lulang walked over and asked in confusion, "What are you doing? Did I wake you up?" Gu Jiao asked him. Xiao Lulang shook his head. "No, I haven't slept yet." After saying that, his gaze fell on her saw and the wood. Gu Jiao curved her lips. "You lost your cane, I'll make you a new one." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642826826/1100830075. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com Chapter 437. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Xiao Lulang felt as if his heart had been ruthlessly rubbed by someone. He looked at her in disbelief and confusion. Why was she so good to him? He wasn't worth it. Gu Jiao continued to cut wood and said, "I've boiled the hot water. Go take a bath and sleep. I'll be done soon." She put down the saw and said, "I'll go get the water." Xiao Lulang grabbed her arm and looked at her deeply. "Jiao Jiao. Don't be so good to me. I can't bear to let go. If you regret it one day, I might do anything to keep you by my side. I'm not a good person. I'm not as harmless as you think." Gu Jiao met his complicated gaze and said frankly, "You're very good to me too." Xiao Liulong's heart was suddenly in a mess. He took a deep breath and slowly raised his hand. His fingertips gently touched her cheek. "Silly girl, you'll regret it." Gu Jiao seriously thought about this possibility. Then, she shook her head firmly. "I won't. At most, I'll divorce you." Xiao Lulang. He wasn't comforted at all. Xiao Lulang stared at her and suddenly laughed. Gu Jiao had a strange look on her face. "What are you laughing at?" He answered truthfully, "Laughing at you." He originally wanted to be sad. He was clearly infected by the sadness in the bottom of his heart. In the end, this girl interrupted him and made him feel depressed. Xiao Lulang couldn't help but pinch her little face. "Say, why are you so good at ruining the atmosphere?" Gu Jiao had no idea what she had done to ruin the atmosphere. She looked at him in confusion. Xiao Lulang was amused by her small appearance. He put one hand on the back of her neck, tilted his head slightly, and covered her. Was he going to kiss her? Gu Jiao rolled his eyes and closed them in the next second. However, after waiting for a long time, she still didn't receive a kiss from him. Instead, she heard a muffled chuckle. Gu Jiao opened her eyes and turned her head to look. She saw someone pinching a piece of sawdust on his fingertips. He straightened up and looked at her with a smile. "There's this on your head." Gu Jiao's face darkened. Oh. Xiao Lulang understood what she wanted. He also wanted to. When he thought about how his dreams were filled with her at night, he hated that he could not press her down and treat her the way he did in his dreams. But he couldn't do that. She had just learned of his background and hadn't really understood it yet. She didn't understand what it meant to be the son of a slave. He would give her time, whether she regretted it or not. But he wouldn't give her too long. For the next few days, Xiao Lulang stayed in Clearwater Alley to recuperate. Gu Jiao began to investigate the mastermind behind the scenes. On the fourth day, Yuan Tang came to the clinic. Gu Jiao thought that he came to get medicine for Lu Yixing. The stitches on Lu Yixing's severed finger had been removed. The intervention effect was good, but he still needed to continue to take medicine. Depending on the situation, he would start rehabilitation. 10 taels. Gu Jiao said. Yuan Tang's body trembled. Your medicine is so expensive. Why does my cousin think so highly of it?" Gu Jiao said indifferently, "You're the one buying it, not your cousin." Yuan Tang asked, "What do you mean?" Gu Jiao said, "Different people have different prices." Yuan Tang said, "You're a profiteer." Yuan Tang resigned himself to his fate and took out 10 taels. Gu Jiao took the money. Seeing that he didn't leave, she looked at him strangely. "What? Is there something else? If you want to sell me information, I advise you to give up." The corner of Yuan Tang's lips, which had just been raised, collapsed in a second. "Are you a bug in this prince's stomach? How come you know everything I do?" "Ah, Feisheng's leftover." Gu Jiao sat back on the chair and buried herself in today's medical records. Forget it, he was just teasing her. He wanted to get back the 10 taels of silver. It wasn't that he wouldn't talk about it if he didn't get the money. Yuan Tang opened his folding fan and said slowly, I heard that your husband went missing. Do you know who did it?
Who?
Gu Jiao asked. Yuan Tang curled his lips into a smile. Prince Ning. Gu Jiao wasn't surprised to hear this answer. She put the medical records back on the shelf and looked up at Yuan Tang. Are you sure? Yuan Tang clicked his tongue and raised 3 fingers. I swear to the heavens as the future crown prince of Chen that I didn't make a mistake. I definitely didn't fake it. However, he put down his hand and patted his palm with his folding fan. Isn't Prince Ning on Empress Dowager Zhuang's side? Why did he kidnap your husband? Is he taking revenge on you for killing so many of his experts? Although those experts came for me, you helped me, so he holds a grudge in his heart? Prince Ning didn't hold a grudge because of this incident, but because she went to find Princess Ning afterwards. Even so, he only burned down one of her workshops. After that, she emptied his treasury. To be honest, Gu Jiao didn't think that Prince Ning would touch Xiao Lulang for a treasury. Gu Jiao thought of the crown princess' guilty expression. She had something to do with it. Could it be, she already guessed Xiao Liulong's true identity? And told Prince Ning about it? Prince Ning wouldn't touch Xiao Lulang, but that didn't mean that he wouldn't touch Xiao Hang. The crown princess had once been Xiao Heng's fiancée, and the two had grown up as childhood sweethearts. If Ning Wang misunderstood that the crown princess still had Xiao Hang in her heart, he would most likely kill Xiao Hang given how perverted he was. Wait. Kill Xiao Hang? Something flashed through Gu Jiao's mind, but it was too fast for her to catch. Dr. Gu, what are you thinking about? Yuan Tang interrupted Gu Jiao's train of thought. I'm thinking. It's burning. It's burning. A young medicine boy's exclamation came from the lobby. Gu Jiao stood up. Yuan Tang was closer to the door, so she immediately opened the door and walked out. One of the medicine boys had accidentally dropped a match into the medicinal wine, and the entire wine jar had caught fire. Seeing this, Yuan Tang hurriedly walked over, picked up the burning wine jar, and carried it to the empty space in the rear courtyard. Seeing this scene, a thought flashed through Gu Jiao's mind. She had finally caught what she had failed to catch earlier. Yes. Fire. The fire from 4 years ago. Could it be that Princess Xinyang wasn't the one who set the fire? Prince Ning was the one who did it? But for some reason, Xiao Lulang misunderstood? If he really did it, then this feud was huge. He didn't capture Xiao Lulang just to show off his power. He truly wanted to take Xiao Liulong's life. She had originally planned to slowly harvest this golden leek, but he actually dared to touch her husband. Gu Jiao didn't have any evidence for the incident from 4 years ago, but it didn't matter. Even if she didn't count the old debt from 4 years ago, just this one incident alone was unforgivable. In the afternoon, Gu Jiao made a trip to the imperial palace. Prince Ning was a prince who was highly regarded by the emperor. He was currently working at the Ministry of Appointments and would occasionally be summoned by the emperor to the Imperial Study or Pure Flowers Palace. Recently, because he was searching for Xiao Lulang, the emperor summoned him and the crown prince almost every day to ask about the progress of the matter. Although Gu Jiao wasn't in the imperial palace, she had close relations with Ranshou Palace, so she had heard some things from eunuch Qin. Gu Jiao arrived at the imperial palace and asked the guard on duty, "Has His Highness Prince Ning entered the palace?" The guard recognized her and knew that she was a favorite of Empress Dowager Zhuang and His Majesty, so he was happy to do her a favor. Moreover, it wasn't a secret. He entered the palace. Gu Jiao asked again, did he go to the Imperial Study or Pure Flowers Palace? The guard said, he went in the direction of Pure Flowers Palace. Many thanks. Gu Jiao thanked him, then turned around and went to Pure Flowers Palace. Gu Jiao couldn't enter Pure Flowers Palace as easily as she could at Ranshou Palace. She still needed to announce her arrival. However, Eunuch Wei quickly walked over and invited Gu Jiao in. Eunuch Wei said, "Why has Miss Gu come? Are you here to ask about Lord Xiao?" Gu Jiao had only told her grand aunt that Xiao Lulang had already been found. She hadn't told the emperor, so Eunuch Wei also didn't know. Gu Jiao made a sound of acknowledgement. That's right, I'm here to ask about the news. Eunuch Wei said, it just so happens that His Highness Prince Ning is also here. You can ask him if he found any clues. It was impossible for him to find any clues. He was already at home. Gu Jiao symbolically went to see the Emperor and Prince Ning to ask about the progress of the case. As expected, there wasn't any progress. The Emperor was very anxious. There hasn't been any news for so long. He couldn't have. Gu Jiao stared at Prince Ning's expression. His face was filled with worry, but there wasn't a hint of schadenfreude. That was true. If he hadn't hidden himself deeply, he wouldn't have been able to fool around with the Crown Prince consort for so long without anyone discovering him. The Emperor painfully closed his eyes. Send more men. No matter what, I want to see him if he's alive, or his corpse if he's dead. Prince Ning cupped his hands in salute. Yes. This subject obeys. The Emperor sighed. We will also send a few more men to you. You'll have to work a little harder these next few days. We hope to find Xiao Lulang as soon as possible. This subject will go and find him right now. Prince Ning bowed and left the imperial study. Gu Jiao thought for a moment, then said, Your Highness Prince Ning, you don't mind if I leave the palace with you, right? Prince Ning froze, then nodded. Of course I don't mind. Dr. Gu, please. Your Majesty, I'm leaving. Gu Jiao bade farewell to the Emperor. The Emperor was currently worried about Xiao Liulong's safety, so he didn't keep Gu Jiao for a meal at Pure Flower's palace. Gu Jiao and Prince Ning left the imperial palace. On the way, the two chatted for a while, and it didn't seem like they had any disagreements. Before boarding the carriage, Prince Ning smiled and said, Dr. Gu, if you and I can always be harmonious like this prince can pretend that nothing happened in the past. Gu Jiao didn't respond to his words. Instead, she asked, I didn't come in a carriage today. Can you give me a ride? Of course. Prince Ning generously gestured for Gu Jiao to board the carriage. Gu Jiao boarded the carriage, and Prince Ning also got in. He maintained a polite distance from Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said seriously, I have some things I want to say to Prince Ning in private. Prince Ning gave her a deep look, then smiled knowingly. He ordered, All of you, stop first. You're not allowed to follow. The imperial guards stopped. The carriage continued on for a while. Prince Ning said, Can you speak now? Speak your grandpa. Gu Jiao stood up with a whoosh and put Prince Ning in a gunny sack. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1100820909. HTML Genius remembers this website's URL in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gur mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 438. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels that can't be found online will all be available here. Was Ning Wang's martial arts high? Of course it was very high, but Ning Wang was caught off guard. He never thought that Gu Jiao would make this move. Ning Wang's assassination training was to defend against knives, swords, and hidden weapons. Who would defend against a gunny sack? Even a normal person wouldn't do something like putting a gunny sack on a prince. When they were eavesdropping on the fake mountain, Gu Jiao already knew that Ning Wang's martial arts were unfathomable. She had never fought with Ning Wang before, so it was hard to say whose martial arts were better. She was confident, but not conceited. Then again, this wasn't a competition of sportsmanship, so there was no need to talk about martial arts. Just do it. The moment Gu Jiao put the person in the gunny sack, she quickly took out the anesthetic needle hidden in her sleeve and stabbed it into his body through the gunny sack. This anesthetic was specially developed by the Research Institute for Emergency Operations. It worked very quickly and didn't need an intravenous drip, just an intramuscular injection. It could make a person instantly lose consciousness, but the weakness was that it didn't work very well. But it was enough for Gu Jiao to drag the person away. Turn left. His Highness said to wait for someone in the alley over there. Gu Jiao ordered the driver. The driver didn't know that his master had been put in a gunny sack and thought that it was his master's idea. He obediently drove the carriage into the alley on the side. The moment the carriage stopped, Gu Jiao knocked out the driver with a chop. Then she pulled the gunny sack out of the carriage. The anesthetic gradually wore off and Ning Wang began to regain his consciousness. However, if he wanted to make a move against Gu Jiao, it wouldn't be that easy. Gu Jiao didn't wait for him to react. She picked up the gunny sack and threw it on the ground, making a loud sound. Ning Wang's vision turned black. He felt the earth shake, the sky collapse, and his butt hurt. Ning Wang tried to make a move, but before he could circulate his qi to his dantian, the gunny sack was lifted up high and then thrown down again. Gu Jiao grabbed the gunny sack and smashed it on the ground with a duong 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 sound. Ning Wang's brain was almost smashed to pieces. What was an unexpected calamity? This was it. The pain of being injured during a fight was not scary. What was scary was being used as a punching bag. This was a F***king blow to his pride. This was different from Crown Princess Feng's case. After all, the two incidents were different in nature. The former was a scare, while the latter was a murder. Gu Jiao beat him to death. Prince Ning was skilled in martial arts, so he could take a beating. Gu Jiao beat him even more happily. Just as Gu Jiao was in the midst of beating him up, a shadow suddenly descended from the sky. Gu Jiao focused her eyes and saw that it was actually the Emperor's Dragon Shadow Guard. The Dragon Shadow Guard looked at the sack on the ground, then looked at Gu Jiao in front of him. After pausing for a moment, he made a decision and attacked Gu Jiao. Hiss! Gu Jiao had a toothache. There was no need to ask to know that the Dragon Shadow Guard was assigned to Ning Wang by the Emperor. Gu Jiao had fought with the Dragon Shadow Guard before, but after the Dragon Shadow Guard was summoned back by the Emperor, he no longer had any hostility towards Gu Jiao. He had hesitated for a moment just now. He was probably sorting out his tasks. Gu Jiao was not an enemy, but the Emperor had ordered the Dragon Shadow Guard to protect Ning Wang. Naturally, the order still prevailed, and the Dragon Shadow Guard launched an attack on Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao immediately admitted defeat. She threw the gunny sack to him and ran away. After that, Gu Jiao thought about it and felt that she had not performed well enough. She should have thrown a few punches before throwing it. She should have thrown it more aggressively and not be so cowardly. This time, Gu Jiao had put Ning Wang in a gunny sack in front of him. It was not that she was impulsive, but since he had already set his sights on her husband, there was no need for the two of them to continue pretending to be peaceful. Another reason was that Ning Wang was very popular in the capital. How many people wanted to secretly harm him and had the ability to do so? If she did not show her face, the first person to be suspected would be Yuan Tang. She was a good person. She would not implicate her new new friend for no reason. Gu Jiao was thinking about this when she suddenly realized that she had run to Vermilion Bird Avenue. And, to be honest, she could not be blamed. Vermilion Bird Avenue was one of the streets closest to the Imperial Palace. She could reach Vermilion Bird Avenue after walking a few more steps from that small alley. However, she was very confused that she had come to Princess Xinyong's residence. Gu Jiao raised her head to look at the half-closed courtyard door. Between going back the way she had come and being caught and beaten by the Emperor's Dragon Shadow Guard, or going inside to lie low and have afternoon tea, she chose the latter. She stood on the doorstep and inadvertently tightened the heel of her right leg. As a result, her calf cramped. Princess Xinyong was about to go out. Eugene had just opened the courtyard door when she saw Gu Jiao bending over with a cramp on her small face. Eugene was stunned. Dr. Gu. Gu Jiao stood up as if nothing had happened. The next second, the cramp became even worse. She lost control of her expression. A cramp in her calf was definitely the kind that could not be tolerated. Princess Xinyang glanced at her indifferently. What's wrong? Did you fight with someone? Is your leg crippled? Gu Jiao. No. Oh. Princess Xinyang said carelessly, then you were beaten up and your leg is crippled? Gu Jiao. These words were not very harmful, but they were extremely insulting. Princess Xinyang raised her eyebrows. You couldn't have run away without fighting, and even crippled your leg. Gu Jiao. She obviously fought. Heh. Princess Xinyang turned around and returned to her room. Eugene turned to look at Princess Xinyang in a daze. Did this mean she wasn't going out? Eugene smiled and said to Gu Jiao, Dr. Gu, please follow me into the room. Gu Jiao's right calf was cramping so badly that it was about to collapse. She could only limp step by step into the room. It could be said that she was very pitiful. Princess Xinyang liked to sit by the window. It had good lighting and ventilation, and she could smell the fragrance of the courtyard. Eugene led Gu Jiao to a chair opposite Princess Xinyang. She squatted down and pinched Gu Jiao's right calf. Does it hurt here? Let me take a look. No need, it's just a cramp, not an injury. I'll be fine in a while. Gu Jiao seriously suspected that she had grown too quickly and was lacking calcium. In her previous life, she had never cramped like this. After all, she had worked in the organization. Every agent had a professional nutritionist, so there was no shortage of trace elements. Let me give you a massage. It won't hurt as much, Eugene said gently. Thank you very much, Lady Eugene. She remembered that was how the Crown Princess addressed her. If you don't mind, you can call me Aunt Eugene, Eugene said with a smile. Eugene moved a small stool over and placed Gu Jiao's leg on her lap. She began to gently massage Gu Jiao. She was someone who had taken care of the seriously ill Princess Xinyang. Her technique was quite good. Gu Jiao almost fell asleep from her massage. Eugene said gently, Dr. Gu is only 15 this year, right? You're really young and promising. It would be difficult to find a doctor with better medical skills than you in the capital. Gu Jiao nodded seriously. I think so too. Princess Xinyang, who had decided to practice her calligraphy out of boredom. This girl, could she be a little more shameless? Princess Xinyang calmed herself down for a while before continuing to practice her calligraphy. Gu Jiao glanced at her. My husband always makes me practice calligraphy. It's obvious that he learned it from you. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1100828807. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 439. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Princess Xinyang's brush suddenly stopped. As Eugene massaged Gu Jiao's calf, she glanced at Princess Xinyang without batting an eyelid. In fact, Eugene couldn't tell what Princess Xinyang's attitude towards the young duke was. If she said she cared, she would ruthlessly deny him. If she said she didn't care, she would be so sad that she fainted. Not to mention fainting from anger, Eugene didn't believe it and wouldn't accept it. She probably still couldn't get over that hurdle in her heart. She was afraid that if she treated the young duke too well, she would let down that dead child. Gu Jiao was being massaged too comfortably and became drowsy. Her little head began to peck at rice like a little chick. Eugene waved at a servant girl, indicating for her to bring a cushion over. The servant girl did as she was told. Eugene gave a look and the servant girl placed the cushion behind Gu Jiao's back, supporting Gu Jiao as she gently leaned against it. Princess Xinyang was immersed in practicing her calligraphy and didn't know that Gu Jiao was about to fall asleep. Her gaze paused and she suddenly asked, "Then who did you learn to fight from?" Gu Jiao woke up with a start, but didn't forget to deny it. "I didn't fight." Princess Xinyang didn't even lift her eyelids. "Who did you fight with?" "Gu Jiao, Prince Ning." "Eugene, you even fought with a prince. You've got guts." Princess Xinyang wrote another big, Qiu character. "Why?" Gu Jiao bluntly said, "I don't like him." Princess Xinyang, "It's rare to find someone who doesn't like Prince Ning." Princess Xinyang's expression was calm as she continued to practice her calligraphy. Gu Jiao turned her head to look at Princess Xinyang. "Then what about Princess? Does Princess like Prince Ning?" In Princess's eyes, what kind of person is Prince Ning? Princess Xinyang said lightly, "I don't have much contact with King Ning. If Princess Ning and were here, she might be able to answer you." Yes, Princess Xinyang was married to Marquis Xianping, who was on the same side as Empress Xiao and the Crown Prince. He was in a different camp from Prince Ning and the Zhuang family. Noble consort Zhuang was very stingy, so she wouldn't allow Prince Ning to have too much contact with Princess Xinyang. However, when Prince Ning was mentioned, Princess Xinyang's expression didn't change at all. Did this mean that she never suspected that Xiao Heng's death had anything to do with Prince Ning? To be honest, there were only two people who had the motive to burn Xiao Heng to death 4 years ago. One was Prince Ning, and the other was Princess Xinyang. The less suspicious Prince Ning was, the more suspicious Princess Xinyang would be. Princess Xinyang did not suspect Prince Ning at all. Was it because she was the murderer, or because Prince Ning's disguise had successfully deceived everyone? Gu Jiao eventually fell asleep. At this moment, the sun was very bright and shone through the window lattice. The entire table was warm, and Gu Jiao even sweated a little. Eugene stood up gently and put Gu Jiao's feet on a stool. She also put a cushion under them so that they would be stable and wouldn't hurt. "Princess, do you still want to go out?" Eugene asked softly. Princess Xinyang practiced her calligraphy and said lightly, "Maybe another day." "I don't want to go out today." Eugene made a sound of agreement and turned to walk around the greenhouse. She cut a few fresh flowers and put them in. The room was very quiet. The only sounds were the rustling of the brush on the table, the low sound of pruning, and someone's even breathing. It was very quiet all around, but it didn't feel as lonely as it usually did. "Blanket," Princess Xinyang said. She didn't raise her eyes. She was steady and engrossed in her calligraphy practice. "Okay." Eugene put down the scissors and flowers and wiped her hands with a handkerchief. She opened the wardrobe and took out a thin cashmere blanket. She walked over and was about to drape it over Princess Xinyang when she heard Princess Xinyang say expressionlessly, "Give it to her." Although she didn't specify which one, there were only 3 people in the room. Eugene should have said, "Give it to you." Eugene walked around the desk and came to Gu Jiao's side. She gently draped the thin blanket over her. Eugene squeezed Gu Jiao's palm. Sure enough, she had been sweating just now, but now she was cold. The sun was about to set and couldn't shine on her body. In addition, there was a thin autumn wind outside the window that happened to blow on her face. Eugene's position didn't allow the wind to blow. This was why Eugene didn't notice that Gu Jiao's body was cold. Eugene's smiling gaze fell on Princess Xinyang's beautiful face, which didn't seem to have been eroded by time. "Princess, what is it?" Princess Xinyang said calmly. Eugene pursed her lips and smiled. "You also like Dr. Gu, don't you?" She used the word, also. She didn't know who else liked Gu Jiao. Was it Xiao Lulang or herself? Princess Xinyang said, I said, her life is very valuable. If something happens to her, who will treat this princess's illness? When Gu Jiao woke up, the sky was already dark. There was only the statue-like Long Yi beside her. Gu Jiao acted as if she was facing a great enemy. She almost reflexively sat up and said seriously, I won't stop writing. Long Yi, who had been holding a box of charcoal for the whole afternoon, Eugene asked Gu Jiao to stay for dinner. Gu Jiao looked at Princess Xinyang, who was watering flowers in the courtyard. She raised her eyebrows and said, It wasn't the princess who asked me to eat. I won't eat. I'm leaving. Hiss. Princess Xinyang watered the flowers and almost drowned them. Eugene couldn't help but snicker. Gu Jiao was just joking. How could she not know that without Princess Xinyang's tacit consent, Eugene wouldn't have the guts to ask her to stay for dinner? She really had something to do and had to go back quickly. Eugene said with a smile, I'll prepare a carriage for Dr. Gu. Gu Jiao intended to refuse. She could go back by herself. Eugene said again, or let Long Yi send you. Gu Jiao's face became serious for a second. Carriage, thank you. Eugene ordered the servants to prepare a carriage and said to Princess Xinyang, I'll send Miss Gu off. Princess Xinyang didn't say anything. She took the kettle and changed to a potted plant to water the flowers. Gu Jiao actually didn't need Eugene to send her off, but she felt that Eugene especially wanted to send her off today. The two left the courtyard. Eugene said to the coachman, This wooden stool is unstable. Go get a new one. She sent the coachman away. At the door, there were only two people and Long Yi sitting on the wall with a box of charcoal in his hands. Eugene pulled Gu Jiao's hand and said in a low voice, Miss Gu, you're one of us. I won't beat around the bush. I'll make a long story short. I hope you can understand. Sure enough, there was something. Gu Jiao nodded. Go ahead. Eugene said seriously, The matter of the young Marquis. I don't know how much you've heard, but no matter what you've heard, please believe the princess. She really did hate the young Marquis, but she hated herself even more. She hated those assassins who poisoned her son, as well as those who killed her son with their own hands. She probably realized that the identity of the person behind her was too sensitive, or she wasn't sure if Gu Jiao had already understood this step. Eugene paused and changed her words. Murderer. The princess took the initiative to kill, but in the end, her heart softened. She couldn't do it. She didn't start the fire. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/11008262. HTML Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 440. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao nodded at Eugene. Thank you for telling me this. The information you told me is very important to me. The wooden stool is here. The driver jogged over with a wooden stool. Eugene patted the back of Gu Jiao's hand. The driver placed the wooden stool beside Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao stepped on the wooden stool and got into the carriage. On the way back, Gu Jiao carefully considered Eugene's words. If Eugene was telling the truth, then the only possibility left was Prince Ning, who set Xiao Hang on fire at the Imperial College. If Eugene was lying and the arsonist was Princess Xinyang, then Prince Ning would definitely hurt Xiao Lulang this time. There was no way he could clear his name. No matter who the murderer was 4 years ago, the one who still wanted to kill Xiao Lulang was Prince Ning. Gu Jiao took out a small notebook. Her lips twitched, and she wrote a name on it, Qin Chuhan. Prince Ning's mansion. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. Prince Ning was lying on his bed. His entire body was wrapped in cotton and he was half dead. He had been drugged by Gu Jiao and beaten to death. When the dragon shadow guards finally came, he thought he was finally saved. Who knew that the nightmare had just begun? The dragon shadow guards were temporarily sent by His Majesty to find Xiao Lulang. The dragon shadow guards' first mission was to find him, and their second mission was to protect him. Gu Jiao beat him very hard, but he could also take the beating. Thus, although it hurt, he didn't suffer any internal injuries. The dragon shadow guards determined that he didn't suffer any fractures and could continue to find him. They grabbed him and got into the carriage. The driver was gone, so the dragon shadow guards personally became his driver. Other than not suffering from internal injuries, Ning Wang's entire body was in pain. The dragon shadow guard's driving skills were obviously not good. Ning Wang's intestines were about to break. His head hit the wall of the carriage 7 or 8 times, and his butt rubbed against the floor 17 or 18 times. Actually, he could turn over, but he didn't want to grind an iron rod into a needle. Therefore, he could only sacrifice his butt. Finally, his arm was dislocated, and the dragon shadow guard determined that his injury was in urgent need of treatment. Then, the dragon shadow guards carried him back to the palace. Only God knew how long his dislocated arm had been swinging in the air. It was so swinging that he didn't even feel that it was his arm anymore. This was simply a nightmare. Your Highness, it's time to drink your medicine. Qi Fei helped Ning Wang up. Prince Ning's entire body felt as if it had been crushed by a huge rock. Not a single part of his body belonged to him. Just the movement of sitting up and leaning against the bed head made Prince Ning break out in a cold sweat. He took the bowl with his other hand, which was not dislocated. Even though it wasn't dislocated, it wasn't very stable after being trampled by Gu Jiao. In the end, Qi Fei couldn't stand it and personally helped his master drink the medicine. Prince Ning leaned against the cushion behind him and recalled what happened today. He still felt that it was inconceivable. How dare she? That's right. How could a commoner's daughter dare to go against a country's prince? Even if she hugged the 2 thick thighs of the Empress Dowager and the Emperor, in terms of closeness, he was their blood relative. Other than Princess Ning An, he was the only person who could receive the favor of both the Empress Dowager and the Emperor. So where did that girl borrow her courage from? She didn't think that just because she helped the Empress Dowager and the Emperor a little, she would be able to enjoy endless favor for the rest of her life, right? She was overestimating herself. Accompanying the Emperor was like accompanying a tiger. She still didn't understand this principle. Qi Fei asked in confusion, Master, this subordinate can't figure out why Dr. Gu would do this. You burned down her workshop, but didn't she also empty your treasury? She was the one who took advantage of you. Why would she bother to not let you go? Prince Ning snorted coldly. What other reason could there be for her to not care about her life? Qi Fei wasn't stupid and immediately understood. Could it be? She knows that you dealt with Xiao Lulang? Prince Ning coldly said, although this prince doesn't have any evidence, after thinking about it, this is the only reason left. I just don't know how much she knows about Xiao Liulong's identity. Does she know that he used to be the young Marquis of Zhaodu? If she knows, has she guessed that the fire 4 years ago was caused by this prince through this incident? Qi Fei was stunned. As expected of His Highness, he had considered everything. He didn't think that much. Prince Ning thoughtfully said, but this prince still has a doubt. Did she find Xiao Liulong's whereabouts? Gu Jiao's actions could be said to have completely disrupted Prince Ning's thoughts. He had never seen someone who didn't play by the rules like this. He was the smartest of all the princes. He was familiar with the art of war and had a deep understanding of people's hearts. Often, A person only needed to take one step and he could calculate their next 10 steps. But Gu Jiao, this kind of troublemaker, it was too difficult for him to use his power. Qi Fei said, "Master, how about you directly tell the Empress Dowager? The Empress Dowager is your grandmother and also your great-aunt. She definitely won't be partial to that girl." Prince Ning lightly said, "If I tell the Empress Dowager, then I'll be playing right into her hands." Qi Fei didn't understand. How could that be? Prince Ning was a patient master. He didn't have the bad habit of being spoiled like the crown prince. He wouldn't think that the servants couldn't keep up with his thoughts and scold them for being stupid. It was right that they couldn't keep up. Otherwise, if they were as smart as him, how could he still be an outstanding prince? He said, "This prince said that she sneak-attacked this prince. Do you have evidence? This prince can't even beat a girl. Does anyone believe it?" Qi Fei's eyes widened. "She gave you a drug." Prince Ning lightly glanced at him. "You can find a drug that can knock this prince out in one go." The knockout drug still needed half a cup of tea's time to take effect. He didn't know what kind of hidden weapon was inserted into his body, but it actually knocked him out in an instant. People who didn't see it with their own eyes wouldn't believe it at all. Actually, there was a witness, Shadow Guard Long, but it was better not to have it. Prince Ning continued, "Also, this prince can say that she sneak-attacked, but she can't say that this prince captured Xiao Lulang?" Qi Fei stammered, "She doesn't have evidence. Moreover, Xiao Liulong's whereabouts are unknown. She's not afraid that the Empress Dowager will send people to search for him." Prince Ning coldly snorted. "You also said that you don't have evidence. If the Empress Dowager doesn't believe her, will she believe me?" There was no evidence. Either they believed it or they didn't believe it. What were the consequences of believing it? It was him, a prince of a country, who actually captured an imperial court official. And the other party's wife came to beat him up for revenge. Who was at fault? What were the consequences of not believing it? Both of them were talking nonsense. She was a girl, so it wasn't a big deal for her to lie. But he was the dignified eldest prince. Inverting right and wrong to slander a girl was too shameful. So no matter which one it was, he was bound to lose. Rather than worrying that he would complain about that girl, it was better to worry about whether or not that girl would complain about him. Will she complain about Master? After listening to his master's analysis, Qi Fei began to worry. Prince Ning seriously thought about it. She probably won't. Qi Fei, why not? Prince Ning, she doesn't like it. Would someone who could use their hands and not their mouth complain about it? The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/11008265 HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 441. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. While they were talking, there was a faint breathing sound outside the door. Who is it? Qi Fei's eyes turned cold, and he suddenly shot out a hidden weapon. Stop! Prince Ning shouted. That was almost his subconscious reaction. Qi Fei saw that his master asked him to stop, but the hidden weapon had already been shot out. He had to use more strength to shoot another dart to hit the first one away. The two darts broke out of the window, creating sparks in the air with a clang, and then fell beside a pair of elegant embroidered shoes. Chi Fei rushed out of the door. When he saw who it was, he was stunned. Princess? Princess Ning almost died under this dart, and her face turned pale. Chi Fei hurriedly bowed. Princess, please forgive me. I didn't expect that you would. What would happen? Would she come at this time, or would she secretly stand outside and listen to Prince Ning's conversation? Princess Ning clenched the handkerchief in her hand, and her eyes flashed. Her lips trembled a few times, and she didn't know whether it was anger or fear, or both. The next moment, she turned around and walked out without looking back. Sushin. It was Prince Ning who chased after her, regardless of the tearing pain all over his body. Prince Ning grabbed Princess Ning's arm. Chi Fei saw this and tactfully retreated. But with his hearing, he could actually hear it. But the important thing was that he wouldn't make Princess Ning feel embarrassed if he wasn't there. King Ning had run for a short distance, but many wounds on his body were bleeding. His lips were getting paler and paler, and the cold sweat on his forehead was oozing out again. Sushin. He endured the pain and said in a hoarse voice, "Don't go, listen to my explanation." Princess Ning clenched the handkerchief and looked at him with a complicated expression, and tears flashed in her eyes. "Listen to what your Highness explains? Explain why you took Dr. Gu's husband, or explain why your Highness burned Xiao Hang to death 4 years ago." Prince Ning said, "Xiao Hang didn't die." Princess Ning said loudly, "That's because he's lucky. It's not that your Highness didn't harm him." Sushin. I have my reasons. Prince Ning grabbed her arm tightly, and his eyes were slightly red. My mother was the 6th princess consort at that time. She was the wife that Imperial Grandfather appointed for Imperial Father. After Imperial Father ascended the throne, he only gave my mother the title of Imperial Consort. I was also reduced from a legitimate son to a concubine's son. Originally, the Eastern Palace was mine. The position of Crown Prince was mine. Everything was mine. I can't accept this. Sushin. I can't accept this. Princess Ning retorted, "So you killed the innocent." Prince Ning explained, "Xiao Hang is not innocent. He is not the son of Princess Xinyang at all. He is the flesh and blood of a female slave. It was because Princess Xinyang experienced the pain of losing her son that she placed her love on him. That child didn't need to die. The one who should die is him. He stole everything from that child. His death is not worth regretting." Princess Ning looked at him in disbelief, as if she was greatly frightened. Her body swayed and she took a few steps back. Prince Ning's face turned pale when he realized what nonsense he had said in his anger. He wasn't like this usually. It was because he was confused by the little female doctor called Gu Jiao today. He walked forward guiltily. "Don't come over. Don't touch me." Princess Ning retreated again and raised her hand to stop him from coming closer. "Okay, I won't come over," Prince Ning hurriedly replied. He looked behind her. "There are steps behind you. Don't fall." As he spoke, he took a few steps back and motioned for Princess Ning to come closer. But Princess Ning didn't take a single step forward. Prince Ning saw the fear in her eyes and the disappointment that was gradually becoming difficult to hide. He couldn't help but walk forward. "Don't come over," she said. Prince Ning hurriedly retreated and raised his hand to comfort her. "Okay, Sushin, I won't come over. I really won't come over. Listen to me. I'm not only doing this for myself, but also for you. When I inherit the throne, you will be the Empress of Zhao country." Princess Ning smiled coldly. "Empress? Your Highness, can I really be the Empress?" This sentence seemed to have opened a certain gate, and an even stronger emotion rushed out, overshadowing the panic and disappointment just now. She glanced at him coldly and didn't say another word. She turned and left the yard in a daze. Prince Ning didn't force her to stay. He just looked at her disappearing figure in the night and frowned little by little. "Master." Chi Fei came over. "Are you okay?" Prince Ning covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. How could he be okay? He was just pretending to be strong in front of her. Chi Fei hurriedly helped Prince Ning into the room. The wound on Prince Ning's body had split open. Chi Fei went to call the doctor to treat Prince Ning. They worked until the second half of the night before they finally got Prince Ning's injury under control. Chi Fei sent the doctor away and said to Prince Ning sincerely, "Master, you can't do this anymore. It's too bad for your body." "Has Princess Ning rested?" Prince Ning asked. Chi Fei was stunned. Princess Ning had made Prince Ning like this. Why was Master still thinking about her? Chi Fei whispered, "She has rested." Prince Ning said, "It's good that she has rested." Chi Fei said, "Master, I'm afraid it's not safe for Princess Ning. She is close to Princess Rui Wang and Dr. Gu. If she leaks the news..." Prince Ning paused and said, "She won't." Chi Fei thought for a while and asked, "Should I send someone to monitor Princess Ning?" Ning Wang shot him a cold glare. Chi Fei shrank his neck. Prince Ning pondered for a moment and didn't reject the proposal. "Let them stay away. Don't offend Princess Ning. Also, remember to avoid them when they shouldn't." Chi Fei understood that they couldn't monitor private things like bathing and changing clothes. Prince Ning sighed. "Forget it. I'll coax her when she calms down. The most important thing is to solve the problem of Xiao Lulang and Gu Jiao. No, let's deal with Gu Jiao first. This woman was too good at playing tricks. No one knew what she would do in the next moment. Prince Ning had never been afraid of any opponent. Gu Jiao was the first person who made him feel uneasy. Chi Fei said, "Your Highness, it's better to send someone to kill her." Prince Ning said coldly, "Have you forgotten how the masters who went to assassinate Yuan Tang died?" Chi Fei argued, "She was there. She might not have done it. At that time, all the masters died. They didn't come back to report. They judged that Gu Jiao was there from the footprints and fallen herbs." Prince Ning touched the jade thumb ring next to his pillow. "It's better to be safe than sorry. If we send too few people, we won't be able to kill her. If we send too many people, it will be too noisy." Chi Fei frowned. "Is there no way to deal with her?" Prince Ning looked at the jade thumb ring. "Don't worry. She's more anxious to deal with me than me dealing with her. When the time comes, I'll beat her at her own game." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428267. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 442. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao returned to Clear Water Alley. Gu Yan's secret guard A told her that someone had been here today. It was an expert, probably a secret guard. He had been loitering in the alley for a while, keeping an eye on their house. "Is it Mr. Ming Yu's men again?" Gu Jiao asked. Mr. Ming Yu was the one who bought little Jing Kong's golden abacus. It was obvious that he wanted to get close to little Jing Kong. He had even sent men to keep an eye on Clear Water Alley. He hadn't shown up for a long time after being caught by Gu Jiao. "It's not the same person from last time," said the secret guard A. Gu Jiao made an "oh" sound. Then there was no doubt that it was Prince Ning's men. He must have been sent by Prince Ning to find out about Xiao Liulong's whereabouts. Prince Ning also wanted to know if Xiao Lulang had been found, or if he was already hiding at home. Then did he find Xiao Lulang? Gu Jiao asked again. Secret Guard said, no, the young master has been in the study and hasn't come out. That person waited for a while but couldn't find him, so he left. Gu Jiao nodded with satisfaction. Be careful. Don't let anyone find Xiao Lulang for the next few days. Yes. Gu Jiao went to the study and opened the small medicine box. She took out gauze and medicine for Xiao Lulang to change his bandages. When she performed the surgery, she felt that it was very successful. However, this guy had learned a lesson from his predecessor. The surgery on his feet was also very successful, but he could not walk. Gu Jiao was worried that he would not be able to write because of some psychological factors. Gu Jiao wondered if she should tell him that Princess Xinyang wasn't the one who set the fire that year. She hesitated, but still felt that the time wasn't right and there wasn't enough evidence. Xiao Lulang was extremely uncertain about whether Princess Xinyang still had feelings for him. He might think that Yujin or she was comforting him. There were some things that Princess Xinyang had to tell him personally. He had to take things slowly when it came to matters of the heart. It was better to take care of the king of Ning first. His lethality wasn't any weaker than Grand Concubine Jing's. At the very least, his great-aunt wasn't on Concubine Jing's side. Thinking of her great-aunt, Gu Jiao sighed slightly. It had been raining for several days in a row in the capital. The weather seemed to have turned cold all of a sudden. Gu Jiao put on her autumn clothes. Generally speaking, girls wouldn't grow much after their period, but she was still growing. Xiao Lulang was also growing. The sleeves are shorter again. While Yao Shi was eating, she noticed that the two sleeves could no longer cover their wrists. Later on, I will put down the sleeves that are tucked in. In fact, it was not just the two of them. Gu Yan had also grown up very quickly. His voice had started to change. His voice had changed later than Gu Xiaoshuan's, but she didn't know if it had changed later than Xiao Liulong's. After all, Xiao Lulang was already 16 or 17 years old when he was brought back to the village. His voice had already changed a while ago. She didn't know if it was because Gu Jiao had the filter of a husband, but she always felt that Xiao Liulong's voice wasn't that bad when he was changing. Now, it had become even more pleasant. It was low, smooth, and had a hint of youthful magnetism. It was especially seductive when he was alone. She never considered that Xiao Lulang was deliberately seducing her. Eat a bun. Yao Shi picked up a carrot and lamb bun for Gu Yan. I don't want to eat. Gu Yan was a picky eater. Little Jing Kong opened his eyes wide. His hand, which was holding his spoon, stopped in mid-air. Brother Yan, your voice has become so strange. Gu Xiaoshan and Xiao Lulang had also changed their voices before. Gu Xiaoshan still had his voice until now. However, they were already like this when little Jing Kong came to their house. It wasn't too sudden. Gu Yan's voice had changed from a young teenager's to this voice. The change was a little big. Xiao Liulong's voice had changed after his voice changed. However, the change wasn't as big as when he suddenly changed his voice. Therefore, little Jing Kong almost didn't notice the change in his bad brother-in-law. However, he immediately noticed Gu Yan's change. Gu Yan still hadn't adapted to his new voice. He was a little excited and a little embarrassed. He cleared his throat and stuffed a pork bun into little Jing Kong's mouth. Eat your food. Little Jing Kong wanted to argue with him. However, he suddenly bit into the candy inside. He suddenly felt that eating pork bun was more interesting than exploring Brother Yan's new voice. The sky was clear today. Qinghe Academy and the Imperial College had a rare holiday. Gu Jiao brought a few men from her family into the palace to visit her great-aunt. Little Jing Kong was a frequent visitor to Rancho Palace. Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshan rarely came. After all, they were people who needed to attend special classes. They couldn't afford to be hurt. They entered the palace as usual. The token was already covered with dust. Empress Dowager Zhuang was busy reviewing the memorials. Coincidentally, a palace maid knocked her favorite glazed flower lantern into the inkstone. The entire lantern was dirty. The palace maid trembled and knelt down. Eunuch Qin couldn't bear to watch. "If you're unlucky, I can't save you." However, the next second, Fei Chui reported, "Miss Gu and the little boys are here." Eunuch Qin felt that Empress Dowager Zhuang's murderous aura was extinguished. He hurriedly winked at the little palace maid. Okay, you're lucky. Hurry up and leave." Gu Jiao brought a jar of handmade milk dates. She didn't put any sugar. It was the natural sweetness of the dates. It didn't matter if her great-aunt ate a few more. Empress Dowager Zhuang was satisfied with their trip. Empress Dowager Zhuang and Gu Jiao sat in the corridor and ate milk dates. The three of them played in the yard. Gu Shaoshun didn't always cut wood. He also had mischievous moments, such as now. He even proposed to climb the tree to steal the bird's nest. This proposal was strongly supported by little Jing Kong. Gu Yen didn't want to do it. He couldn't climb up. Empress Dowager Zhuang calmly watched the three of them bicker. Gu Yen, with her eloquent tongue, outsmarted the little carpenter and the little monk. In the end, she successfully dragged the little carpenter into her camp and went fishing. Gu Yen smiled proudly. "Little monk, are you going or not?" Little Jing Kong put his hands on his hips and stamped his feet. "I'm not going." "What nonsense!" Cough. Empress Dowager Zhuang was choked by this sudden nonsense. She almost tried to save herself again. Gu Yen narrowed his eyes slightly. "Little guy, you learned to swear? Who did you learn from?" "With Su Konji." "Ha ha ha." Little Jing Kong stuck out his tongue and made a face. Then he ran away quickly. Gu Jiao looked at Empress Dowager Zhuang strangely. "Great aunt, did you teach him?" Empress Dowager Zhuang righteously said, "How could I teach him that kind of language? Can't there be any trust between people?" She just accidentally said it once, and the youngest son of the Minister of War heard it. But she didn't teach him. It was the little guy who secretly learned it. The Rancho Palace was full of the voices of the three little men. Empress Dowager Zhuang couldn't stand noise before. But after living in the countryside and Bishui Alley for a while, Empress Dowager Zhuang's ability to bear noise was trained. In addition, Empress Dowager Zhuang found that Gu Yan's voice had changed. Humph, the little brat was finally going to grow into a man. Little Jing Kong and Gu Shaoshun wanted to eat fresh flour pancakes. Gu Jiao took a basket and went to the imperial garden to pick flowers. Coincidentally, the crown princess was also there. She also came to pick a few flowers. But she didn't eat them. She wanted to arrange them. Gu Jiao was alone. The crown princess was with Chunying. Gu Jiao didn't even look at the two of them. She went to the other side to pick the flowers she needed. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/110082505 HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 443. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels with content that cannot be found online will be available here. The Crown Prince Consort had been ignored by Gu Jiao time and time again. Even if she was made of mud, she would still get angry, much less when she had made such a big fuss in Princess Xianyang's residence. Even more infuriating was that she had promised Princess Xianyang that she would not publicize this matter. Only later did she find out that Princess Xianyang was protecting her because Princess Xianyang might have already known and acknowledged her as her daughter-in-law. She even lied to her by saying that she was a doctor. The Crown Prince consort thought about it carefully. The reason she was so angry was not because Gu Jiao had done anything. Instead, it was because she had clearly not done anything, yet she was gradually replacing her position in Princess Xianyang's heart, stealing away what originally belonged to her. Princess Xianyang's protection and Aheng's affection. The Crown Prince consort put the scissors in her hand back into Chun Ying's basket. Walking over, she stood at Gu Jiao's side and faintly asked, "Do you know where Xiao Lulang is?" Gu Jiao cut a flower and calmly said, "What does my husband's whereabouts have to do with you? Have you become addicted to thinking about other people's husbands?" "You." The Crown Prince consort's expression changed. "Gu Jiao, get out of the way. Do you know who exactly wants to deal with Xiao Lulang? Only I can help him." From beginning to end, the Crown Prince consort had never wanted to take Xiao Liulong's life. She also did not want to just watch him die. Gu Jiao turned around and gave her a mocking look. "Do you know? Late affection is more worthless than grass." She felt sorry for Xiao Heng. What was he doing earlier? Who exactly caused Xiao Heng's tragedy? In this world, there were two kinds of people who were the most annoying. One was those who committed heinous crimes and had a clear purpose of harming people, such as Prince Ning. The other was those whose crimes were not worthy of death. Their original intention was not to kill people, but they had caused a lot of trouble. Except for themselves, others would be implicated to death by them. The former could still be dealt with according to the law and obtain the satisfaction of the people. The latter, however, could not be killed, and it was unbearable to endure, as if a fishbone was stuck in the throat. However, she had heard that the laws of the Zhao country were different from the laws of her previous life. She didn't know what crime it was for the Crown Princess to seduce Ning Wang. The Crown Prince consort was completely at a loss for words. She seemed to understand, but she did not seem to understand. She had no feelings for Xiao Lulang, but she had feelings for Xiao Heng. So, what Gu Jiao meant was that she admitted that Xiao Lulang was Xiao Heng, and she had exposed that she still had feelings for Xiao Heng? How dare she say such a thing? Wasn't she afraid that she would reveal Xiao Heng's identity? Or was it that she had already seen through that she knew that Xiao Lulang was Xiao Heng? Of course, the most painful thing was that late love is more cheap than grass. Why did she humiliate her like this? Gu Jiao did not care what the Crown Prince consort thought. After picking the flowers, she left without looking back. The group ate lunch at Rancho Palace, and Gu Jiao's fresh flower pancakes were quickly snatched up. In the afternoon, the three went to dig out a bird's nest, the kind that was hung up by a hidden guard with a rope. Gu Jiao's next plan was to expose the relationship between Prince Ning and the Crown Prince consort. Princess Ning's attitude was somewhat thought-provoking. She seemed to know but also seemed to not know. No matter what, Gu Jiao did not plan to start with Princess Ning. She should let the Crown Prince feel the blow to his soul first. Prince Ning was recuperating these days, but it did not matter. Some things could be fabricated out of thin air. After the first class in the afternoon, Gu Chengfeng went to the outhouse. Suddenly, a gerfalcon flapped its wings and landed on his shoulder. It covered its bird head with one wing and patted the back of his head with the other. Then, it arrogantly stretched out a bird's claw. Gu Chengfeng, to be honest, this girl might as well catch him herself. Why did she always have a bird run errands? As usual, there was a note tied to little Nine's leg. On the note, there was a drawing of a bloody knife. East Palace, come quickly. Gu Chengfeng's mouth twitched. He swore that if they were going to rob the Crown Prince's treasury, he would get half of it. Unfortunately, Gu Chengfeng was disappointed. Gu Jiao was not going to rob the Crown Prince. Gu Jiao, have you seen the Crown Prince consort? Gu Chengfeng, why are you asking this? Gu Jiao, have you heard her speak? Gu Chengfeng, something is wrong with you. Gu Jiao, forget it. It doesn't matter if you have heard her speak or not. Let's hear it again. Then, Gu Chengfeng was dragged to the East Palace by a small hand. Gu Jiao went in openly, and Gu Chengfeng was thrown in openly by her. As for whether they would be discovered by the experts in the East Palace, it would depend on Gu Chengfeng's ability. Gu Chengfeng, who almost fell flat on his face, gritted his teeth. This damned girl! What are you doing here? The Crown Prince consort looked coldly at Gu Jiao, who was being led in. She was arranging flowers in the warm room, and the table was covered with scattered branches and petals. Gu Jiao sat cross-legged across from her. I came to talk to you. The Crown Prince consort cut a peony. What is there to talk about between you and me? Gu Jiao said, There is nothing to talk about. The Crown Prince consort. She had never seen such a... The Crown Prince consort racked her brains but couldn't think of a suitable word to describe Gu Jiao. She cut another flower and said to Gu Jiao, I don't care what you have heard outside, but I am not the one who harmed Xiao Lulang. I didn't send people to capture him, and I also hope to find him as soon as possible. However, the storm is not over yet, so it is not a bad thing for him to avoid it for now. You can avoid it for a while, but you can't avoid it forever. You have to think of a way to deal with it. Very good, continue, Gu Jiao said. The Crown Prince consort stilled. She was a bit suspicious whether Gu Jiao understood the implied meaning in her words. She looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao didn't seem to be listening seriously, but Gu Jiao clearly expressed that she wanted her to continue. The Crown Prince consort frowned slightly. If you don't want to listen, Gu Jiao said, I want to. Say more. So that Gu Chengfeng could hear more accurately. On the roof, Gu Chengfeng rolled his eyes. The Crown Prince consort continued. Gu Jiao rarely responded, or strictly speaking, her responses were very strange. Your tone is not right. Say it again, more sorrowful. I want to hear your sorrowful voice. Just now, you should have said it with a happy tone. Say it again. The Crown Prince consort. Why do I feel that something is wrong? The Crown Prince consort was a very intelligent person, but even the most intelligent person had their own thinking area. Once they exceeded this area, their subconscious would automatically ignore or accept incomprehensible oddities, and even find reasonable explanations for them. The Crown Prince consort said coldly, Are you here to make me happy, or to stall for time to do something else? You don't want to see the Crown Prince, do you? Gu Jiao clapped her hands and stood up. All right. Since you are so worried, then I will leave. In any case, the Crown Prince consort's lesson was almost over. It was time for Gu Chengfeng to graduate. Digression, 4 more votes to break the 100 mark. Please break the 100 mark. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1100797444. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 444. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. After leaving the East Palace, Gu Jiao checked the results of Gu Chengfeng's study. Gu Chengfeng refused in his heart. Gu Jiao took out a bottle of hair growth agent and got it done easily. After making sure that Gu Chengfeng was the main tool, Gu Jiao started to prepare to lure the Crown Prince. First, she had to choose a moment when the Crown Princess was alone. She couldn't let the Crown Princess have an alibi. Then, she could guide the Crown Prince to catch the adulterers. Coincidentally, Empress Xiao asked the Crown Princess to have dinner at the Cunning Palace in the evening. The East Palace had been busy recently, so Qin Chuyu was taken back to the Cunning Palace. After dinner, Qin Chuyu wanted to go to the Cunning Palace to find little Jing Kong. Empress Xiao asked the Crown Princess to go with Qin Chuyu. The Crown Princess didn't dare to refuse and went with Qin Chuyu. The two little B***Chis were crazy together. They went from the Rancho Palace to the Imperial Garden, and from the Imperial Garden to the Supreme Liquid Pool. The Crown Princess was ordered to watch Qin Chuyu, so she had to follow. But she couldn't keep up with the two little guys. Soon, she lost them. The Crown Princess only had Chunying with her. It was easy to send her away. Gu Jiao walked over. "Do me a favor. Take it over there." The Crown Princess frowned. "You again? Are you haunting me?" Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "Are you going to help me?" If the Crown Princess came to ask Gu Jiao wouldn't help her. But the Crown Princess was different. She had a background and status, so she had to help her. The Crown Princess looked at Gu Jiao's basket and said to Chunying, "Take it for Dr. Gu." "Yes." Chunying took the basket reluctantly and walked towards the pavilion with Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao walked halfway and said to Chunying, "Take it to the Rancho Palace. I want to pick some fruits." Chunying choked. Didn't she say she only wanted to take the pavilion? Why did it become the Rancho Palace? "My Crown Princess is there alone. I'm worried. I'll ask her to pick fruits with me, okay?" "That's why I'm worried," Chunying muttered in her heart, but she didn't dare to show it on her face. This was the Imperial Palace, and Qin Chuyu and the servants were nearby. Chunying knew that Gu Jiao wouldn't dare to do anything, so she left with the basket. Gu Jiao wouldn't really tell the Crown Prince consort to pick the fruit. She turned around and headed towards the Imperial study. Today, the Crown Prince was in the Imperial study. Eunuch Qin had given him a message. When Gu Jiao arrived at the Imperial study, the Crown Prince had just come out. The Crown Prince looked at her strangely. "Why are you here? What are you doing here? Is the Imperial study a place where people like you can enter?" The Crown Prince's impression of Gu Jiao was that she was Xiao Liulong's wife, that she was ugly, that she grew up in the countryside, that she was a lowly little female doctor, and that he didn't know what kind of luck she had to obtain the favor of His Majesty and the Empress Dowager. In short, he didn't think highly of Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao didn't mind the Crown Prince's attitude towards her at all. He came out, so she didn't have to make up an excuse to bring him out. "I was passing by," Gu Jiao said without changing her expression. "Is the Crown Prince going back to the Eastern Palace? I just encountered the Crown Prince consort near the Supreme Liquid Pool." The Crown Prince was going back to the Eastern Palace, but when he heard that the Crown Prince consort was at the Supreme Liquid Pool, he changed his mind and went straight to the Supreme Liquid Pool. Gu Jiao went in the same direction as him. The Crown Prince frowned and asked impatiently, "Why are you following me?" Gu Jiao raised her brows and said, "I'm not following your highness. I'm also going to the Supreme Liquid Pool. My younger brother is playing with the 7th Prince near the Supreme Liquid Pool." The Crown Prince had heard of Qin Chuyu's new friend, the little guy called Jing Kong. The Crown Prince frowned but didn't say anything. The two entered the inner palace together. When they passed by a fake mountain between the Palace of Earthly Tranquility and the Palace of Eternal Life, Gu Jiao suddenly stopped in her steps. "Your Highness," she called him in a small voice. The Crown Prince was extremely impatient and asked her in an exasperated tone, "What?" "Shoo!" Gu Jiao pressed a finger to her lips and made a shushing gesture. "There's movement behind the fake mountain, listen." The Crown Prince wasn't a very cold person in general and wouldn't ignore what was happening around him. When he heard Gu Jiao's words, his brows furrowed and he stopped in his steps. Then he really did hear movement from behind the fake mountain not far away. That fake mountain was actually the former crime scene. The difference was that the corner Gu Jiao chose to eavesdrop was not the same as before. Back then, the tree she and consort Rui Wang were standing on was too far away from the fake mountain and couldn't hear clearly. Right now, she was standing on a small path with the Crown Prince and was half the distance from the fake mountain. As long as the crown prince wasn't deaf, he should be able to hear everything that happened behind the fake mountain. "It's you? You? Why are you here?" This was the crown princess' voice. "I also didn't want to come, but there was no other way." This wasn't Ning Wang's voice. Ning Wang was seriously injured in bed and was currently recuperating in the Ning Wang Fu. It would be strange if he came. "I think you're crazy. This is the Imperial Palace. Coming to see me in broad daylight, aren't you afraid of being discovered?" "Don't worry, my martial arts are very good. I won't be discovered." "Leave." "I'll leave after delivering Master's message. Master wants you to remember that you are his woman and remember your identity. Don't always hide from him. If there's a next time, he won't be able to guarantee that your relationship will be resolved." "Are you threatening me?" "I've delivered the message, so I'm leaving." "Wait. How are his injuries?" A concerned and worried tone. "If you're really worried about Master, why don't you personally visit him? You haven't seen Master in so long, don't you miss him?" She sighed bitterly. "What's the use of missing him? Can I leave the Imperial Palace whenever I want? What if people suspect me?" "Don't worry, as long as you want, Master will arrange it for you." Actually, there was nothing else when she asked about his injuries. The last few sentences were improvised by Gu Changfeng. He added random lines again. Gu Jiao had been observing the Crown Prince's expression from beginning to end. The Crown Prince didn't react at all when he heard the first two sentences, but he frowned slightly when he heard the third sentence. And when he heard the words, "I'll leave after delivering Master's message," his frown deepened. He was clearly a bit angry. No, this was his reaction after being cuckolded? Wasn't it a bit wrong? With the Crown Prince's feelings for Wen Linlang, he should have drawn his sword and charged forward. If he didn't kill Wen Linlang, he would have killed that adulterer or both of them. But he didn't. Gu Jiao asked strangely, "Crown Prince, did you recognize that person's voice just now?" The Crown Prince snorted coldly. "How could I recognize it? I don't know him." Gu Jiao gaped. "You don't know him? Don't you think the voice just now was a bit familiar? It sounded like the Crown Princess, wasn't it?" "Familiar?" The Crown Prince thought carefully and said, "I think so. It sounded a bit like Lin Long's voice, but it's still a far cry." Gu Jiao. How did he recognize it? Or was this man's trust in the Crown Princess so blind that it was unshakable? "Moreover, Lin Lang wouldn't betray me," the Crown Prince said. As expected, it was the latter. "Crown Prince, oh Crown Prince, you're really blind and green." The original plan was for the Crown Prince to hear Wen Linlong's voice and suspect that she had an ambiguous relationship with a man outside the palace. Gu Jiao would then secretly throw out some false evidence to point at Prince Ning. As long as the crime of having an affair with the Crown Princess was confirmed, Prince Ning would be powerless. Who would have expected that the Crown Prince, this pig of a teammate, would be so useless? Gu Jiao didn't want to pay attention to him anymore. The Crown Prince said coldly, "I have to go and see who dares to cause trouble in the harem here." "Go, go, go. It would be strange if I could see." Of course, the Crown Prince couldn't watch. After Gu Changfeng finished his performance, he used his qinggong to leave. The Crown Prince clenched his fists. "Damn it, I will definitely investigate this thoroughly." Gu Jiao rolled her eyes. The first plan was ruined. It didn't take long for the news to reach King Ning's ears. Ever since Gu Jiao beat him up, Prince Ning secretly sent people to keep an eye on Gu Jiao's movements. Prince Ning was drinking medicine and narrowed his eyes when he heard this. She really took the Crown Prince to catch the adulterers? Qi Fei said, "It should be to catch the adulterers." I don't know where she found someone with excellent vocal skills to imitate the Crown Princess's voice. That person was wearing a mask, so this subordinate doesn't know who he is. Prince Ning sneered. "You think you can compete with me with this little trick? Continue to keep an eye on her." Yes. After keeping an eye on Gu Jiao for the past few days, Prince Ning had gained a lot. Unknowingly, it was the end of the month. Prince Ning recovered from his injuries and entered the palace to pay respects to the emperor. Gu Jiao and the crown prince were also there. Gu Jiao came to take the emperor's pulse, while the crown prince came to report to the emperor on the progress of the investigation into Xiao Liulong's whereabouts. After so long, there was still no news of Xiao Lulang. The crown prince and the emperor began to speculate whether Xiao Lulang had met with a mishap. Gu Jiao had been to Huaqing Palace many times, so the emperor understood that she was also anxious to know Xiao Liulong's whereabouts. The emperor didn't dare to tell Gu Jiao his speculations, fearing that Gu Jiao would be upset and unable to bear it. Because of Xiao Liulong's matter, the emperor's heart was heavy, so he didn't look very happy when he saw the recovered Prince Ning. This son is fine. In a while, I will go with second brother to find Xiao Xiuzhuan. The emperor sighed. He had just recovered from his injuries and should be resting in bed, but the emperor didn't reject Prince Ning's suggestion. He really wanted to find Xiao Lulang as soon as possible, even if it was just a corpse. Right. Did you catch the assassin who ambushed you last time? Prince Ning glanced at Gu Jiao without leaving a trace. Gu Jiao didn't look guilty at all. Prince Ning's mouth twitched, and he said to the emperor, replying to Imperial Father, not at the moment. The emperor coldly said, continue the investigation. Assassinating a prince right under the emperor's nose, I'm afraid it's an act of rebellion. Prince Ning said, this matter has already been handed over to the capital government. I believe there will be news soon. Gu Jiao's expression didn't change at all. She withdrew the hand that was taking the emperor's pulse. Your Majesty, your liver has been very hot recently. Your diet should be lighter. Eunuch Wei said, His Majesty can't eat at all recently. Miss Gu, please help persuade His Majesty. This old servant's words are useless. Eunuch Wei was really the best teammate. He had such a tacit understanding even when they didn't speak. Gu Jiao sighed and said, then, why don't I stay and have a meal with His Majesty in a while? It just so happens that we can celebrate His Highness Prince Ning's recovery. Prince Ning gave Gu Jiao a deep look. The emperor didn't notice the undercurrent between the two. He nodded. Okay, you two brothers should also stay and have a meal. After a pause, he said, call little Qi over as well. Eunuch Wei smiled and said, His Highness the Seventh Prince has a class today. He's in the Imperial College. The emperor patted his head in amusement. I was so busy that I forgot. Gu Jiao said, Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager likes the fresh flour pancakes I made. I'll also make some for Your Majesty to try. The emperor smiled and said, okay. Shortly after lunch, Gu Jiao's fresh flour pancakes were also out of the oven. She personally brought the steaming fresh flour pancakes to the study room. The fresh flour pancakes were served on delicate small plates, and they were also accompanied by dried flowers and fresh flowers. They looked very good. Your Majesty. Gu Jiao picked up a piece of fresh flour pancake and handed it to the emperor, and then handed one to the crown prince. The emperor knew Gu Jiao's craftsmanship, so he ate it without saying a word. The crown prince was a little disgusted. How delicious could the food made by a country girl be? He glanced at his father and ate it reluctantly. With just one bite, his whole body was refreshed. How could this girl's craftsmanship be so good? Prince Ning sat far away, so Gu Jiao handed it to him last. Prince Ning took it but didn't eat it. Gu Jiao asked, Why doesn't Your Highness Prince Ning eat it? Do you dislike my cooking? Prince Ning smiled. How could it be? As he spoke, he picked up the fresh flour pancake and tasted it slowly. Is it delicious? Gu Jiao asked. It tastes good, Prince Ning said warmly. Although he said so, the moment Gu Jiao turned around, he took out the handkerchief in his hand and spat it out secretly while wiping his mouth. Insignificant skill. After lunch, Prince Ning cupped his hands to the emperor. Father, it's getting late. I'll go look for Xiao Xiuzhua first. The emperor nodded. Go ahead. Although the father was very distressed about his son's health, his son's life was not in danger. At the moment, finding Xiao Liulong's whereabouts was the most important thing. Since Prince Ning had gone to look for him, the Crown Prince naturally couldn't fall behind. He also stood up and cupped his hands to the Emperor. "Father, I'll go too." "Okay. Be careful on the way." The Emperor was a little worried that the expert who secretly injured Prince Ning would come back. "Your Majesty, I'll go back too," Gu Jiao said. The Emperor nodded. "All right, you can go." Gu Jiao left Pure Flower's palace with a small basket on her back. She first went to Rancho Palace to say goodbye to her great-aunt. Her great-aunt packed a few snacks from the imperial kitchen for her. Gu Jiao left the palace with the snacks. To her surprise, Prince Ning was waiting for her at the palace gates. "Dr. Gu, His Highness Prince Ning requests your presence." Prince Ning's coachman walked over and said politely to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao glanced sideways at Prince Ning's carriage. Prince Ning lifted the curtains and gave Gu Jiao a gentle smile. "Dr. Gu isn't sitting in this prince's carriage. Could it be that you're afraid this prince will harm you?" Gu Jiao didn't say anything and strode into the carriage. She didn't pay attention to her bearing like other women. Her every movement exuded the heroic spirit of a youth. Prince Ning smiled faintly. This prince admires Dr. Gu's courage. Gu Jiao found a seat next to Prince Ning and sat down. She said carelessly, "I should be the one saying that to Prince Ning." "Oh." Prince Ning looked at her with amusement. "Just because you were lucky enough to sneak attack this prince once? That was only because this prince wasn't on guard. If we really fought, you wouldn't be this prince's match." Gu Jiao didn't say anything. Prince Ning took it as her tacit agreement. After the carriage traveled for a while, Gu Jiao suddenly said, "Your Highness Prince Ning, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642-8964286/1100569000. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 445. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are novels with connotations that can't be found online here. When Ning Wang heard this, he instinctively became vigilant, but he quickly ruled out this guess. "Did you really drug this prince? But I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. This prince didn't eat your fresh flour pancake." Gu Jiao sighed faintly. "It's right that you didn't eat it. You'll feel uncomfortable soon." Ning Wang frowned. Before he could ask her why she said this, a strange feeling suddenly flashed through his body and his heart started to panic. He quickly sank his qi into his dantian, planning to use his internal energy to suppress that strange feeling. But when he used his internal energy, he discovered that his internal energy had weakened by quite a bit. From his experience, his internal energy wouldn't decrease in an instant. It was most likely dissipating a long time ago. It was just that he hadn't used his martial arts, so he hadn't noticed it. He looked at her, his expression cold. "What did you do to this prince?" "I drugged you," said Gu Jiao in a natural and unrestrained manner. Ning Wang said, "Impossible. This prince didn't swallow the thing you gave me." He didn't ask why the emperor and crown prince were fine after eating her fresh flour pancake. After all, the poison didn't have to be on all the fresh flour pancakes. She was the one who gave him the fresh flour pancake, so it was entirely possible that she put it on the fresh flour pancake she gave him, or on the tableware he used. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "What did I say just now?" "You said just now." Ning Wang carefully recalled Gu Jiao's words. It's right that you didn't eat it. You'll feel uncomfortable soon. Ning Wang's expression changed. You? Gu Jiao tilted her head to look at him. Have you thought it through? Ning Wang was about to explode from anger, but he was also about to be shocked silly. He never expected this last to be so roundabout and bold. She actually poisoned everyone in Pure Flower's palace. That's right, not only was he poisoned, but the Crown Prince and Imperial Father were also poisoned. It's just that she put the antidote in the flour pancake in advance, so the person who ate the flour pancake would be safe and sound. The Crown Prince had eaten a few large plates, so she knew that he was full of energy now. And because he was on guard against her, or rather, she was luring him to be on guard against her, deliberately saying those words to provoke him, he successfully avoided the antidote. Very good. Gu Jiao. You're very good. Prince Ning had never thought that he would be defeated by the same person twice. Moreover, compared to being beaten up, losing to her in terms of intelligence was the true humiliation. Chi Fei! He shouted. There was no response. Stop shouting, your men have all been knocked out. Gu Jiao pointed at the tightly closed curtains. But the coachman belongs to your family. You can ask him to stop the carriage. What was the point of stopping? Would he be able to defeat Gu Jiao when he was drugged, or would his driver be able to defeat Gu Jiao? King Ning said coldly, "What drug did you give me?" Knockout drug. Gu Jiao said. To be honest, Prince Ning could hold on until now, which was much longer than she imagined, which showed that his internal strength was very profound. Well, she also wanted internal strength. Prince Ning narrowed his eyes at her. What are you going to do to me? Gu Jiao blinked. Guess? Prince Ning took a deep look at her, and then he smiled coldly. The anger and uneasiness just now seemed to disappear in an instant, and he became arrogant and disdainful. Prince Ning said, Gu Jiao, do you really think that I can't see through your little tricks? Do you really think that I'm just recuperating in my mansion these days? Gu Jiao said, Oh, you investigated me. What did you find? What you are most worried about, I found that. Prince Ning's lips curled up. This prince knows what you are planning. You want to drug this prince so that this prince will do something unforgivable to the crown prince consort, and then be caught by the crown prince. Ha! He sneered. So naive, Dr. Gu. Do you really think that you can knock out this king's subordinates so easily? Gu Jiao looked up at him. Prince Ning pointed at himself. I am the eldest son of the imperial family and have been in the middle of the whirlpool of imperial power since I was young. How do you think I have survived until now? How did I become imperial father's most beloved and valued son? Just because I am the eldest son? Dr. Gu, I said that you are still young, and there are many things that you don't understand. You are still too inexperienced to fight with me. Gu Jiao frowned. Her ears hurt from listening to his bullshit, but it could be summed up in a few words. I am going with the flow. Was it that hard to speak like a normal person? Gu Jiao looked at him with disdain. She took out a syringe that she had prepared from her sleeve, pulled out the needle cap in front of him, and pushed the syringe. When Prince Ning saw this, his heart instinctively filled with the fear of being pierced by needles. Last time, she had used this kind of hidden weapon to instantly numb his body. He didn't know what kind of poison was used in this hidden weapon, but it was even more effective than knockout drugs and anesthesia soup. Relax. It's not anesthesia. Gu Jiao calmly said before curling her lips. It's a hallucinogen. Hallucinogens were a type of drug. In her previous life, they were mainly used to train assassins or to extort confessions from members of enemy organizations. People who were injected with hallucinogens would lose consciousness and have weak wills. Some people would be immersed in the illusion, unable to hear or see the outside world. Some people would be able to react to the outside world, so it would be easier to get information out of them. She just didn't know which type Prince Ning would fall into after being injected. Gu Jiao's lips curled into a wicked smile. Prince Ning's body trembled. The emperor was afraid of needles. Unfortunately, Prince Ning was also afraid of needles. As expected of father and son. Prince Ning's entire face turned white. Gu Jiao. You better not act rashly. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Gu Jiao said unconcernedly. Oh, what consequences? Prince Ning smiled coldly. For example, why don't you go home and see if Xiao Lulang is still there? Gu Jiao's injection stopped. Eastern Palace. The Crown Prince had just returned from outside. The Imperial Guards were still waiting for him outside. His clothes had just been scratched, so he had to change his clothes and go out again. Just as he stepped into the bedchamber, Chunying stumbled over with a pale face. Your Highness! Your Highness, it's not good. The Crown Princess is missing. The Crown Prince frowned. Speak clearly. Why is Lin Lang missing? Chunying choked. This servant followed the Crown Princess to Zhu Ke Street to visit Princess Xinyang. On the way back, the Crown Princess said she was going to buy some refreshments for your Highness, so this servant went to buy them. But when this servant came out of the tea house, the Crown Princess was no longer in the carriage. The Imperial Guards and driver were all knocked unconscious. In a dark room, the doors and windows were tightly shut, and the smell of incense rose in spirals. The Crown Princess slowly opened her eyes and looked around in confusion. Suddenly, she found herself lying on a soft bed. It took her a long time to adjust to the dim light in the room. Then, she found a person lying next to her. A man. The man's eyes were slightly closed, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. After she saw the man's appearance, a light flashed through her eyes. She sat up and stared at the sleeping Xiao Lulang. "Aheng, is that you?" Xiao Lulang did not respond. "It's you, right? You really came back. You came back to find me. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you angry at me?" "Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't want to hurt you. After you left, I was very sad. Seeing you again, I finally understood that the person in my heart has always been you. I really regret not being able to marry you. Don't like anyone else. Don't like her. She's not worthy of you." The Crown Princess softly said, lovingly stroking Xiao Liolong's cheek. "Being able to see you like this is really good. In the future, don't leave me again." Xiao Liolong's eyes had opened long ago, but unfortunately, his expression was sluggish. It seemed that he did not hear a single word the Crown Princess said. The Crown Princess gently smiled with a trace of a young girl's shyness. Pulling away his arm, she gently lay down in his embrace. Her hand wrapped around his strong waist, and she sweetly called out, "Let's never separate again, all right? In the future, let's live happily, all right?" Xiao Lulang finally reacted. Holding her tightly in his embrace, he blankly responded, "All right." The Crown Princess smiled with incomparable sweetness. Xiao Lulang called out a person's name. She did not hear it clearly, but she did not seem to mind at this moment. As long as Aheng was with her, she would be with her forever. She did not care about anything else. Aheng was hers. Aheng pressed her down. However, at this moment, the door was kicked open with a bang. The Crown Prince's face was dark as he charged in. The loud noise caused the Crown Princess to be startled, as she suddenly woke up from her illusion. She looked at the Crown Prince, who was standing in the doorway, filled with anger. She then looked at Xiao Lulang, who was tightly hugging her. "Wait a minute. This is not Xiao Lulang. It's Prince Ning. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428266/1100568770. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website, zhbqg.com Chapter 446. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. The Crown Princess' face turned pale. How could it be like this? Was it not Xiao Lulang? No, it should not be A Heng, right? How could it become Prince Ning? Her first reaction was to stare at the adulterer on the bed. The Crown Prince's gaze became even colder. The Crown Prince's throat was filled with a metallic sweetness. He felt that he was on the verge of collapse. He fiercely pinched himself. This was not a dream. This was real. This was King real. His Lin Lang, the sincere and gentle Lin Lang, the knowledgeable Lin Lang, the Lin Lang that was in harmony with him. How could she do this sort of thing with another man behind his back? Everything happened too quickly. He did not even have time to react. In his great shock, all the blood in his body seemed to have frozen. Every word that Lin Lang said was like a knife, fiercely stabbing at the Crown Prince. If he said it hurt, it did not seem like it. If he said it did not hurt, he would not be able to straighten his body. The Crown Prince's eyes turned red. He staggered and crashed into the wooden door behind him. With another loud sound, the Crown Princess finally recovered from her shock of Xiao Lulang becoming Prince Ning. Only then did she realize that her absurd actions and crazy words had been heard and seen by the Crown Prince. Her mind was a little chaotic. Those words did not seem like they came from her. She could not say such explicit words. But she had said them. What exactly was going on? There was also Prince Ning and the Crown Prince. Everything was filled with an inexplicable strangeness. But the situation was urgent, and she did not have the time to sort it out. She looked at the Crown Prince, who looked as if he had been struck by lightning. Her gaze moved, and she pulled up her clothes without leaving a trace. Following this, she got out of bed and arrived in front of the Crown Prince with red eyes. Reaching out, she grabbed the Crown Prince's hand. "Your Highness, let me explain." The Crown Prince almost subconsciously avoided her. Dodging like this, he could not avoid crashing into the door again. The place that had hurt earlier felt double the pain. This pain caused him to instantly wake up. He looked at Lin Lang in disbelief, his face full of hurt. Why did you do this? Why? Why would he do that? She didn't want to do that at all. God knows what happened. She just went out to buy some things. How did she suddenly lose consciousness? When she woke up, it was already. The Crown Princess complained tearfully, "Your Highness, believe me. I don't know what happened to me either. I was assassinated," the Crown Prince said. "Assassination? Did someone put a knife to your neck and force you to say those words? Did someone tie your hands and feet to prevent you from escaping? You were willing, Lin Lang. This monarch heard everything. You said you had him in your heart. He's the one you've always liked." As the Crown Prince spoke, he was on the verge of collapse. He was born as the Empress's legitimate son and had unparalleled nobility. Furthermore, he had Marquis Schwamping's powerful uncle backing him up. He could get whatever he wanted and had never suffered any setbacks. He wasn't as naughty as little Chi, so he didn't receive much punishment. His life had been smooth sailing for more than 20 years. Now that there was such a drastic change, it was as if even the sky had collapsed. "Who is the adulterer?" he asked with bloodshot eyes. The Crown Princess trembled and reflexively moved a step to the right to block the Crown Prince's line of sight. The Crown Prince recognized her because he recognized her voice. In reality, the room was too dark, so the Crown Prince didn't see that the person on the bed was Ning Wang. No matter how confused the Crown Princess' mind was, she knew that she couldn't let the Crown Prince discover that the man was his older brother. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a normal misunderstanding, it would be a calamity. The Crown Prince wasn't usually so sensitive, but he was provoked today and noticed the Crown Princess' imperceptible movements. It didn't matter if his heart was broken or if his pride as a man was hurt. In short, he didn't even have any pity for Lin Lang right now. He rudely pushed the Crown Prince consort aside and strode forward. Gu Jiao had injected Ning Wang with a larger dose, a whole 2 times, so he woke up a bit later than the Crown Princess. He more or less understood what was going on. He thought that he could beat Gu Jiao at her own game, but he didn't know that he had fallen into the other's trap from the moment he had this idea. He could find Xiao Liulong's whereabouts because Gu Jiao told him to find Xiao Liulong's whereabouts. The person he had the hidden guards take away probably wasn't the real Xiao Lulang, but a substitute. Ning Wang had guessed correctly about this point. This was the inspiration that Dual Blade sect gave Gu Jiao. There was something called a human skin mask in the Zhonghu. The main material was fish glue and fish skin, and it was very realistic. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. If one moved too much, they would be exposed. But it would be fine if they were careful. The person who replaced Xiao Lulang and was taken away was Gu Chengfeng. He had already escaped without a trace by now. Ning Wang knew that the Crown Prince was walking towards him. He knew that he couldn't let the Crown Prince see him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to wash away his crime no matter how favored he was. He grabbed the blanket on his body and abruptly covered the Crown Prince's head the moment he approached. Immediately after, he got off the bed and quickly walked out the door. But then he heard a thud as he fell face first onto the ground. F***CK. Who tied his feet up? This fall wasn't light, and Ning Wang's brain was muddled. The Crown Prince was so busy that he was in a mess. After a long time, he finally pulled the blanket off his head. His hair crown had been pulled loose, and his hair was a mess. He cut a sorry figure. He didn't care about his royal bearing and first stretched out his leg to fiercely kick the other party. Sneak attacking the Crown Prince. Tired of living? No, he had already F***king slept with his woman. Wasn't he tired of living? Good. This monarch wants to see who exactly this audacious adulterer is. It was already impossible for the Crown Princess to pounce over. After all, she didn't know martial arts and couldn't stop the Crown Prince. As for Ning Wang, he was already muddled from the fall. What else could he do? The Crown Prince couldn't be bothered to use his hand to grab him, so he added another kick and flipped the other party over. It didn't matter if he didn't look, but when he did, he was struck by lightning again. Big brother? The shock of discovering that the adulterer was Ning Wang was even greater than the shock of discovering that the Crown Princess had cuckolded him. He couldn't accept the reality in front of him. Ning Wang took advantage of his daze to grit his teeth and take out the dagger at his waist to cut the ropes around his feet. Actually, there was nothing that couldn't be salvaged with just a glance. At most, Ning Wang would tell the Crown Prince afterwards that he was innocent, and the adulterer was just wearing a human skin mask similar to his. Ning Wang had only said, "Good," from beginning to end. From the Crown Prince's reaction, he didn't recognize his voice. His top priority was to quickly leave this place and think of a way to prove his alibi. But the Crown Prince pulled him back. "Big brother, is that you?" The Crown Prince asked dazedly. Ning Wang turned his face away and didn't look at the Crown Prince. But the Crown Prince rolled up his right sleeve. When Ning Wang was 11, he had once taken his younger brothers to ride horses. At the time, the Crown Prince and Rui Wang had been young, only 8 years old. Their horses had collided, and they had almost fallen off their horses. In order to save them, Ning Wang had been injured. The Crown Prince remembered that there was a long scar on Ning Wang's right forearm. After so many years, the scar had faded a lot, but it could still be seen. The moment he saw the scar, the Crown Prince finally couldn't hold back his tears, and they fell with a plop. Why? Big brother. Why? His heart was in so much pain. Why Linlang? Why big brother? Although he and his big brother weren't born of the same mother, he had always respected his big brother's character. He didn't dislike this big brother, and he had never thought that as the Crown Prince, he would do anything to him. Even if his Empress mother warned him day and night that noble consort Zhuang and Ning Wang had to be on guard, he had never really taken it to heart. Today's unforeseen event was very sudden for anyone. It was as if all the cloths covering one's shame had been pulled down overnight. The ferociousness and ugliness within the imperial family were completely exposed at this moment. The Crown Prince was too well protected. The only thing he had done in his life was to have a private affair with Wen Linlang. However, that was also due to love. He got along with her as a friend. Before marrying Wen Linlang into the Eastern Palace, he had never touched a single strand of Wen Linlang's hair. If Xiao Hang hadn't died, if he and Wen Linlang hadn't gotten married, no matter how much he missed her, he wouldn't have used such a method to get involved with her. He couldn't understand Ning Wang's actions. Of course, he couldn't understand Wen Linlang either. These two people, what did they take him for? You guys disappoint me too much. He choked with sobs and raised his hand to wipe the tears in his eyes. He turned around and left angrily. He couldn't let him spread this matter. In a flash, Ning Wang's brain and body reacted at the same time. He took a step forward and pulled the Crown Prince back. He said coldly to Wen Linlang at the door, "Close the door." The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all the novels that can't be found online here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428286/1100534338. HTML Genius remembered the website address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Version Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 447. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. The Crown Princess expression changed. "What do you want to do?" Prince Ning said with a fierce gaze. "He knows about us. If he speaks of this, you know the consequences." The Crown Princess, of course she knew. It wasn't her first day marrying into the imperial family. She had memorized the imperial family's laws and was familiar with them. Adultery in the imperial family was a major crime. A light punishment would be imprisonment. A heavy punishment would be stripping her of her status and demoting her to a commoner. If the emperor was angrier, it wasn't impossible for her to be sentenced to death. But the Crown Princess looked at the dizzy Crown Prince who had been thrown to the ground by Prince Ning and hesitated for a moment. Prince Ning shouted, "What are you hesitating for? You aren't betting on how sincere the Crown Prince is to you, right? What misconception did his endless tolerance for you give you that he would still forgive you even after you betrayed him?" Yes, the Crown Princess did plan to do so. When a person had no bottom line for their indulgence, they would have the misconception that they could be forgiven for anything they did. She didn't go to close the door, but Prince Ning did. The door closed behind her with a bang. Her pupils contracted violently as she looked at him in disbelief. "Do you know what you are doing?" Prince Ning came to her and looked down at her. "Wen Linlang, you and this prince have been in the same boat for a long time. You can't wash your hands clean and can't escape." Wen Linlang shook her head in a daze. Tears flashed in her eyes, either because of resistance or fear. She shouldn't have come to this step. She was the most talented woman in the Zhao kingdom. She had unparalleled intelligence and an alluring appearance. She wasn't a fish in a pond. One day, she would transform into a dragon and become a dragon among men. "All right, Linlang, if you can't do it, this prince won't force you. Hurry and leave. Let this prince take care of the aftermath." Prince Ning's tone suddenly became gentle. He held the Crown Prince Consort's shoulder and gazed deeply at her. Holding her hand, he said, "It was this prince's lack of consideration. Your hands shouldn't have done these things. They are clean." The Crown Princess's eyelashes trembled slightly. King Ning said, "You may leave." The Crown Princess opened her mouth. "You?" Prince Ning glanced at the Crown Prince who was struggling to hold his head and said, He's about to wake up. Trust me, I will do everything cleanly and won't implicate you. Go back to the palace immediately and don't worry about anything else." Tears welled up in the crown princess's eyes. Prince Ning smiled. "Trust me this time, The crown prince consort pulled her hand back. Holding back her tears, she turned around and dazedly walked towards the door. Behind him, the sound of the crown prince's stumbling footsteps could be heard. She closed her eyes as tears rolled down her cheeks. Prince Ning's voice rang out slowly. "Second brother, ever since you were young, Big Brother has always given in to you. The position of crown prince was given to you, the Eastern Palace was given to you, the famous bow that you liked, and the Fergana horse that you loved. Wouldn't it have been better if you had just left? Why did you check Big Brother's arm? Do you know that you're making things difficult for Big Brother?" The crown prince felt dizzy. He knew a little martial arts, but he was not very proficient in it. Even if the medicinal effects still remained in Prince Ning's body, he could still easily crush him. The crown prince faintly heard Prince Ning's words, but his brain could not react. Prince Ning took off the crown prince's token and took out the money. He picked up the dagger that had fallen to the ground. "Sorry, second brother. Big Brother has given in to you for so many years. It's time for you to give in to Big Brother this time." As he spoke, he gripped the dagger tightly and stabbed it towards the crown prince's neck. In the blink of an eye, a stool smashed towards his head with great force. Caught off guard, he was smashed to the ground. The crown prince consort threw away the stool in her hands and helped the crown prince up. Your Highness, wake up." The crown prince had been thrown quite badly by Prince Ning. When he opened his eyes, his entire head was in pain. The crown prince consort pulled him up and put his arm on her shoulder. She supported him as they walked out step by step. But before they could walk a few steps, the back of the crown prince consort's head was suddenly grabbed by a large hand. She screamed and was pulled into Prince Ning's arms. Without her support, the crown prince fell to the ground with a thud. Prince Ning looked at Wan Linlang with blazing eyes. "Wan Linlang, you dare to betray this prince? Do you know what the consequences of betraying this prince are?" The crown prince consort felt as if her scalp was about to be pulled off by him. She was in so much pain that tears kept flowing, but her words were not polite at all. "I'm not the only one who betrayed you. Didn't Princess Consort Ning also betray you? She colluded with Gu Jiao to go against you. Did you also punish her like this?" Prince Ning: "Of course not. He did not touch a single finger of Chu Yu." Prince Ning and Chu Yu had gotten married 5 years ago. At that time, Prince Ning was 21 and Chu Yu was 18. They were both at the most beautiful age of their lives. Unfortunately, Prince Ning already had Wan Linlang in his heart. The graceful dance in the 100 Flowers Pavilion and the hearty game of chess in the Imperial Study. The young girl was astonishingly talented and beautiful. She had long entered his eyes. "Your Highness, did you not bring an umbrella? This is for you." The young girl had bright eyes and white teeth. Her voice was like the sounds of nature. Her smile was warm, and her eyes were clean and pure. When she looked at him, there seemed to be light in the depths of her eyes. When she left, her mischievous smile was so innocent that it captured his entire heart. It was a long time before he found out that she was Xiao Heng's fiancée. Prince Ning said coldly, "She did not provoke me." The crown prince consort looked at him with pity. "Who do you think gave me that umbrella back then?" "It was Chu Yu. She told me to bring it to you." The Chu family's daughter had taken a fancy to Prince Ning, who had no fate with the throne. She had rejected many marriage proposals and married into Prince Ning's estate. In the end, it was a miscalculation. It was not appropriate to say that Wan Linlang really did not have any feelings for Prince Ning. Otherwise, she could have completely refused to bring an umbrella for Prince Ning. But it was also not entirely correct to say that she had too many thoughts. She was just used to winning people's hearts. She did not expect Prince Ning's heart to be poisonous. This man was not as gentle and harmless as he looked on the surface. He was a smiling tiger with a knife hidden behind his smile. When she realized this, it was already too late for her to withdraw. The Crown Prince Consort's words stunned Prince Ning for a moment. If it was not such a critical moment, he might have been stunned for even longer. He quickly came back to his senses. He grabbed the Crown Prince Consort's hand and forced the dagger into her hand. "Fine. Since you are not willing to leave, why don't you do it yourself?" The Crown Prince Consort struggled to shake her head. However, she was not Prince Ning's match. Prince Ning grabbed her wrist and forced her to point the dagger at the Crown Prince's heart. Wan Linlang used the last of her strength to resist Prince Ning. She could not kill the Crown Prince. Empress Xiao and Marquis Xianping would tear her apart. At least Prince Ning had the protection of the Zhuang family and the Empress Dowager. What did she have? She only relied on the Crown Prince's favor and her identity as the Crown Prince Consort. If she lost even this, she would be completely powerless to reverse the situation. "Your Highness, please leave quickly." The Crown Prince finally regained some consciousness. He watched in horror as Prince Ning grabbed the Crown Prince Consort's hand and stabbed it at him. He did not know where he got the strength from, but he actually kicked the two of them down. Then, he scrambled toward the door. But before he could even cross the threshold, he was pulled back by Prince Ning. The Crown Prince trembled as he looked at him. "Eldest brother." Prince Ning grabbed his neck and raised the dagger in his hand. "Stop." A familiar shout came from the corridor across the street. Immediately after, a tall and powerful figure flew over. He grabbed Prince Ning's dagger with one hand and grabbed the Crown Prince from Prince Ning's hand with the other. It was the Dragon Shadow Guard. Not to mention that Prince Ning had been drugged. Even if he had not been drugged, he was not the Dragon Shadow Guard's match. The Dragon Shadow Guard only used an instant to subdue Prince Ning. He found a suitable place to place the limp Crown Prince and made him freeze on the spot. The Emperor walked in with an ashen face. Eunuch Wei and Gu Jiao entered with him. Prince Ning knew that Gu Jiao would bring people to catch the adulterers, but he thought that person would be the Crown Prince. He never expected that Imperial Father would also be here. To be precise, she had personally brought him here. The Emperor's expression was extremely cold. He clenched his fists tightly and used all the strength in his body to stop his body from trembling. If he did not see it with his own eyes, who would believe that the two brothers would be like this? This was his most beloved eldest son. He was the pride of his life. It was true that he had appointed Qin Chui as the Crown Prince, but if Qin Chui really could not take on such a big responsibility, he had seriously thought that he could change Qin Chu Han to the Crown Prince before he died. But now, look at what this eldest son had done. Unfilial son. The Emperor slapped Prince Ning in the face. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels that can't be found online here. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964286/1100300128. HTML Genius memorized the website address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Version Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 448. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all here. There are many things that if you don't see, you may never guess in your entire life. The Emperor had high hopes for King Ning, but now he was disappointed. He used almost all of his strength in this slap, carrying endless shame and anger. It made King Ning bleed from the corner of his mouth. Gu Jiao felt that the Emperor didn't even use this much strength when he was running for his life. Ning Wang started to panic the moment the Dragon Shadow Guard appeared. However, after being slapped, he calmed down instead. He casually wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered at Gu Jiao. He then looked at the angry emperor and said mockingly, "Imperial father didn't even ask what happened and decided that it was my fault. Is Imperial father teaching his son a lesson or protecting his dignity as the emperor in front of outsiders?" The emperor was not so vain. He admitted that it was embarrassing for the little divine doctor to see this, but if the little divine doctor didn't see it, wouldn't he be embarrassed? This eldest son actually thought that he was just protecting his dignity as the emperor. His eldest son had killed his own brother, so what dignity did he have? After that slap, the emperor had used up all of his strength. After being scolded by this unfilial son, he almost fell down on the spot. He tried to stabilize himself and looked at him with disappointment and anger. "Zhan will ask you the truth of the matter, but no matter what difficulties you have, it is not a reason for you to draw your sword against your brother." King Ning clenched his fists. He looked at Gu Jiao, who was enjoying the show, and his lips curled in mockery. "Are you satisfied with the current situation?" The emperor naturally heard these words, and his brows furrowed. Gu Jiao looked at the bruised and swollen King Ning and said, "It's okay. It would be better if you fell more miserably." King Ning and the Crown Prince were brought back to the imperial palace. Because the Crown Prince's injuries were serious, the emperor had Gu Jiao accompany him to treat the Crown Prince. The Crown Princess was also brought back. When the emperor arrived at the scene, he only saw the scene of Prince Ning attacking the Crown Prince. He did not know about the dispute between the three of them, but he would soon know. Gu Jiao would treat the Crown Prince with great care. Ning Wang was imprisoned in Pure Flower's palace by the emperor. The emperor didn't interrogate him for the time being, not because he didn't have the heart to, but because he collapsed as soon as he returned to the palace. He hadn't completely fainted, but after the upheaval, he was suddenly mentally and physically exhausted, and could no longer support his dragon body. Eunuch Wei's heart ached as he helped the emperor onto the dragon bed. "Your Majesty, don't be sad. Don't be angry and harm your body." These were just words of comfort. How could he, the emperor father, not be sad when his two sons fought like this? How could he not be angry? Even if I have long known that the imperial family has no brothers, and that brothers are fickle, I still hope that the brothers can have a bit of brotherly love between ordinary people. In the end, is it my wishful thinking? The emperor closed his eyes in pain. In just half a day, he seemed to have aged several decades, and his entire being was shrouded in the vicissitudes of old age. Eunuch Wei sighed. "Your Majesty, the brothers of the imperial family were never just brothers. His Majesty had also gotten rid of a group of brothers to ascend to the throne. However, because of Empress Dowager Zhuang's help, the methods that needed to be used were used by Empress Dowager Zhuang. The evil that needed to be done was done by Empress Dowager Zhuang. His Majesty had ascended to the throne by lying down. Even so, His Majesty's brothers had either died or been demoted. His Majesty was more or less aware of how many truly wealthy and idle princes there were. In the imperial family, the most extravagant thing one could hope for was affection. Affection between husband and wife, affection between brothers, and even affection between father and son. Eunuch Wei swallowed those useless words and bluntly said, "Your Majesty, it's better to discover it earlier than later." The emperor was in the prime of his life. If there really was discord between brothers, he could think of a way to resolve it. If he went, one son would ascend to the throne while the other son would rebel. That would truly be powerless to reverse the situation. How did the previous dynasty perish? Wasn't it because Su Wang was dissatisfied with the Crown Prince's ascension and raised troops to rebel? In the end, the Crown Prince was indeed killed by Su Wang, and Su Wang himself was greatly injured. In the end, the current dynasty's Emperor Taizu took advantage of the loophole and reaped the benefits. The country cannot be ruined in Zhen's hands. You're right. Now that we've discovered it, there is still room to turn things around. As for what room it was, the emperor didn't say. He himself didn't know. The Empress Dowager, he was silent for a moment before saying, "Don't say it yet. Wait until Zhan has investigated thoroughly before personally telling Imperial Mother." He sighed. "Call Ning Wang over." In the Eastern Palace, Gu Jiao finished treating the Crown Prince's injuries. The Crown Prince had woken up once midway. His mood had fluctuated greatly, so Gu Jiao injected him with a tranquilizer. Right now, he was still hooked up to an intravenous drip. She didn't let anyone come in to disturb him. She only packed up and left after giving the Crown Prince the intravenous drip. The Crown Princess also suffered some injuries, but they were all minor injuries. She had been waiting outside the door. Chunying had disappeared. After betraying her for the second time. In reality, she should have guessed that if Chunying could be bribed by Ning Wang, it wouldn't be hard for her to be bribed by others. "It was you, wasn't it?" the Crown Princess asked as she looked at Gu Jiao, who came out with a small medicine box. Gu Jiao looked at her strangely. "What was me?" the Crown Princess said coldly. "It was all you. You were the one who knocked me out. You were also the one who bribed Chunying to lure the Crown Prince over." She had disappeared near the tea house. Even if Chunying really wanted to report, she would have gone to Ning Wang. After all, she had a private relationship with Ning Wang, so it couldn't be ruled out that Ning Wang had taken her away. However, Chunying went directly to find the Crown Prince. Wasn't this clearly giving the Crown Prince a chance to discover her relationship with Ning Wang? If you think so, then do as you wish. Gu Jiao didn't care about this. She was the one who knocked the Crown Princess out, but she wasn't the one who bribed Chunying. It was Yuan Tang. Yuan Tang was also the one who dealt with Ning Wang's subordinates. Ning Wang caused one of Lu Yixing's fingers to be chopped off. Yuan Tang had to take revenge for this no matter what. The Crown Princess gritted her teeth and said in a low voice, "Don't make it sound like you didn't do it. What drug did you give me? Why would I say those things?" Gu Jiao was a bit curious about what she said. She had also injected the Crown Princess with a hallucinogen. To a certain extent, it did make people bolder and more shameless than before. After all, people had rationality and shame when they were sober. However, this drug couldn't be made out of nothing. In other words, no matter how explicit Wen Linlong's words were, they were indeed her true thoughts. Gu Jiao ignored her and walked down the steps. The Crown Princess pinched her fingers. "Dr. Gu, how did I offend you? Why do you have to target me like this?" "I target you?" Gu Jiao was almost confused by the question. From beginning to end, she had never purposefully targeted Wen Linlang. Even now, if it wasn't to overthrow Ning Wang, she wouldn't care who Wen Linlang was having an affair with. The Crown Princess hesitated for a moment and then looked into Gu Jiao's eyes. She said, "You don't seem to like me very much from the beginning." This person was baffling. Gu Jiao asked, "Why do I have to like you? If I don't like you, then I'm targeting you. Where did you get this bad habit of spoiling me?" The Crown Princess choked hard. No one had ever said such a thing to her. When she was young, she had received a piece of chestnut cake that only her brothers could eat because of her sweet mouth. From then on, she knew that it was important to capture other people's good impressions. And she seemed to have a talent in this area. As long as she was willing, there was no one she couldn't please. But this Marquis Fu's daughter who grew up in the countryside always treated her with disdain. She thought too much. Gu Jiao wasn't like this to her. Gu Jiao was like this to everyone. It was just that Gu Jiao didn't care if other people liked her or not. The Crown Princess said, "Are you jealous that Aheng and I had an engagement? Aheng used to treat me very well." Gu Jiao, "Oh." She didn't care. She didn't care at all. The Crown Princess looked at her in disbelief. She didn't understand how she managed to not care. It couldn't be that she still didn't know Xiao Liulong's true identity. Gu Jiao turned to look at her, her expression solemn. "I care about him and the people he cares about, but you aren't among the people he cares about." The Crown Princess's heart felt like it had been stabbed. Gu Jiao walked a few steps then stopped. Also, don't call me Aheng. You don't deserve it." The Crown Princess froze in place. The Emperor's interrogation of Prince Ning didn't go smoothly. Prince Ning could directly push the blame to the Crown Princess, saying that she seduced him, or say that she thought he was Xiao Hang. But Prince Ning didn't do this. As a man, He could be vicious and unscrupulous, but he wouldn't push a woman out to take the blame for himself. Prince Ning knelt on the ground, not saying a word from beginning to end. The emperor angrily said, "Do you think that if you don't say anything, we won't be able to find out? When the crown prince wakes up, we will know once we ask." Prince Ning's heart was dead. Then Father Emperor can go ask. Either way, Father Emperor already won't believe son. The emperor was truly angered half to death by this son. Before this matter, this son was as obedient as he could be. What was it? Now that the matter had been exposed, he couldn't even be bothered to put on an act. The emperor looked at him with disappointment and said, "If you don't even say it, how can we believe you?" Digression. Are there any more monthly tickets? The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/110030126. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.